What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And Diggins.
And this is mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo! One of the most... One of the most anticipated pop cultures of the year. Coming right on the heels of Kraven. We got Sonic 3. You guys very excited to talk about that.
Yeah, although not as culturally relevant as Mufasa.
No, clearly not, and not as culturally relevant as I don't know. There's probably something else out this week, right? What's another movie that came out this week and got absolutely bodied?
Nosferatu.
Oh, well, that's a good one. Yeah. Definitely not as culturally relevant as that. But you guys, before that, obviously, happy late Christmas or whatever, post Christmas. And
Happy Christmas.
Hanukkah, I think, is Hanukkah going on now? It's pretty late in the year,
Hanukkah's
if I remember correctly.
on Christmas.
Wild.
Only the, something like fourth time in the last, 150 years where Hanukkah and Christmas have overlapped. So,
Wow.
yeah. Doesn't
Pretty
happen
good.
a lot.
Yeah.
It's those lunar
then,
calendars, man. They make everything be all fun and mysterious, right?
And then, are there any other holidays?
I think
I don't know.
Kwanzaa's going on now, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
feel
same
like-
time every year, much like Christmas.
Yeah. So great for everybody that has another holiday that's cooler than all those. But I mean, technically, today is Boxing Day when we're recording this, and that is a holiday.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's the
true.
one holiday that, Callum Drift does not work on. So he's probably enjoying a nice, cold, frosty whatever he drinks.
Maybe Callum Drift will make a special guest appearance today, since today's his day off.
I mean, he's so busy counting all that cash and raking in all that dough. Because I don't know if you guys saw, but the returns for Red 1, I got a trusted source that told me this is the biggest streaming movie of the year, one of the biggest releases. Everybody's watching it. Everybody loves it. It didn't come out in theaters, so that doesn't matter because it made all the money online. And apparently Amazon, I think I read somewhere or heard somewhere that a 10-second view of a thing counts as a view, because we don't really know, I think, with Netflix what a view is and some of the other streamers,
Right.
but I think Amazon we do. And so I don't know, 50 bazillion people or something watched at least 10 seconds of Red 1.
To be clear, 10 non-consecutive seconds?
Oh, perhaps, yeah. Which 10 seconds would you say are the best 10 seconds of Red 1? If you want to just get your view and go home, what would you say people got to check out?
Check out The Rock getting absolutely rocked during Krampus Schlop. That's
Krampus.
pretty good. It's a pretty good 10
Krampus Schnock? Wow. That's bullshit.
What?
There was a fucking phenomenal Honest trailer that came out for Red 1. And I always watch these. I always think they're funny. But I usually don't go like, oh, everybody's got to watch this. And it's like 6 minutes long. I think the whole thing's good because I think that movie is insane. But if you skip to the end, maybe like 2 minutes, you get the bit where they do everybody's silly names and stuff. And then after that, they have a supercut of all the times Chris Evans reacts like that in the movie. And it is genuinely like way more than I even remember. They may get like 10 individual, like, what? That? No. You're crazy. So pretty good. I'm trying to think what's my favorite individual moment from Red 1. I mean, it's got to be some of the gains, like Santa.
Oh yeah, a lot
Pumping
of games.
Iron is pretty good, and I think that's like the message of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also like the 1 second of J.K. Simmons in a real environment that's not just a bunch of CGI swamp or whatever. So I appreciated that. What about you, Diggins? What's your favorite 10 seconds from Red 1?
I might do when Nick Kroll is talking all weird.
Yeah, that was special, and it's hard to
That's
explain.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I showed, this is related, somewhat unrelated. I saw that the Kraven clips are starting to
Yeah,
they're starting to leak out. And I asked my one cousin during Christmas, I'm like, you want to see a weird Kraven clip totally out of context? And he's like, absolutely. So I showed him the one scene where they tell the rhino it's like that the hit went bad, and he just makes that
yeah.
sounds.
So
And I'm
this
like,
didn't
that's
come
the
up on the
rhino.
podcast. this didn't come up on the podcast because it, who has the time? But what do you guys think that was? Because the people that don't know, the one henchman who's always walking into the room and talking to the rhino, walks in the room, talks to the rhino, says one of my favorite lines in the movie that I forgot. And not that I forgot because I had it in my notes, but I couldn't remember where it goes. All our guys are dead. And then the rhino reacts by opening his mouth and kind of, I would say this, it sounds more like when you like it's like a human trying to cough up a hairball, and then there's like a second of silence, and then he just goes and does the thing. But what was that?
That's one of those things where like the actor has forgotten his line, so he just like makes some kind of frustrated noise or whatever, and then like just continues with the scene. And they decided that was better than the actual line that was written for him.
That's
so they just
possible.
They kept it in, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was all of his lines. Every time that character spoke in the movie was just that actor going, and then they used digital technology and like afterwards stuff to be like, "Cat me the foreigner" or something. But what I kind of assume it is, and we'll never know this for sure unless anybody who worked on Kraven wants to come say hi to us. I'm betting that when they told him to do that, they were like, "We'll put a rhino sound over it. Like this will be a roar or something, and that will be like a cool threatening moment because it's like, oh, he's got rhino breath and like the lungs of a rhino or whatever." And then they just forgot to put it in. I think that's my guess because it's so like, bad. Yeah, because it really actually, DJ's is closer. This one was closer than your first one because it does feel like. Yeah. It's awful.
Look it up. You go on YouTube, be like, Kraven movie, rhino makes weird sound. Like, you'll find it. But I'm glad the clips are, coming out. So I can be like, look at this weird fucking movie.
Yeah, I feel like I can't. I'm surprised that none of us brought it up. But then after watching it, I'm like, nah, there was other stuff. Like it wasn't like we were just sitting there going, movie's perfect. What can we even say?
Not like some other people.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get to that now, and we'll talk about the biggest news of the week after that. But the other people, so Sony Pictures CEO, which is a guy I've never heard of before, which is, a good sign, I guess. You probably, if you're CEO, you want to keep your name out of the news these days.
That's the ideal situation, yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that we all know who David Zaslav is a stunning condemnation.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So this guy's name is Tony Vinicera, or something along those lines. He is, like I said, Sony Pictures' CEO. And he was quoted in Los Angeles Times saying that the Kraven launch is possibly the worst launch they had in the nearly 8 years he's been at the studio. But, and this is the part that was interesting, he says, "I still don't understand because the film is not a bad film. Let's just touch on Madame Web for a moment," Vichiara continued.
Oh.
Madame Web underperformed in the theaters because the press just crucified it. It was not a bad film, and it did great on Netflix. For some reason, the press decided that they didn't want us making these films out of Kraven or Madame Web, and the critics just destroyed them. They also did it with Venom, but the audience loved Venom and made Venom a massive hit. These are not terrible films. They were just destroyed by the critics in the press for some reason. So as kind of the critics and kind of the press, why did we destroy both of those movies and not Venom? I mean, we did do it to Venom, but Venom made money because people liked it.
Yeah.
But so that completely annihilates everything he's been saying in those previous sentences. But yeah, why did we have this vendetta against these movies?
Well, I think if we even go back and listen to the podcast, I come not to bury Madame Web, but to praise it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, you were the most generous one on that front for sure.
Is it the Netflix? Is it being on Netflix that makes it so palatable? Because you don't have to choose to watch it. You can autoplay it. And then you don't have to be like, I bought a ticket to Madame Web and went to that on purpose. No. You get to say to your friends, like, hey, I just turned on and you know what? I had a great time.
They just, the algorithm just threw it in front of me. And I was like,
although I do believe you need the like extra good Netflix subscription now to watch Madame Web. If you have the peasant Netflix subscription, they don't let you.
There's an extra good Netflix tier?
There is now.
Oh my gosh.
How does that work?
I gotta up it so I'm not a peasant.
Do they just take the movies that this Tony guy says are good and put them in it? Like
be,
Tony's picks? Yeah. This is the Kim's videos of Netflix. Just a couple underground things that Tony's a big fan of.
But anyway, to answer your initial question, Nando, I think it's because we're jealous. We're jealous that we're
Yeah.
not Hollywood big shots who get to make perfect movies like Madam Web and Kraven. And so we express that jealousy by trying to tear down innocent, hardworking CEOs and all the good work they do.
Mm-hmm. Do you agree, DJ? Is that the reason you've savaged these Sony movies? And let's not forget Morbius, which we also, hated as well.
I mean, what I would like to say to this anonymous CEO is that they made me sad, and I felt like I may have been buried by having to sit through some of these catastrophes. Now I have come around to Madam Web. I think it can be a feast for the senses when
much like how she
in the right context
loses a sense at the end. Of the movie.
Yeah, right. I feel
and
like
much
I
how
may
they
have
order
gained
everything on the New Jersey diner and end up with what I'm assuming is quite a feast.
And keep it coming.
Keep it coming.
I will say for Kraven though, all bad and they should feel bad. So no such grace for Kraven.
Yeah, I think it's a shame because I have seen, and in a way that I honestly consider at this point admirable. What's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson going out and really towing the line. And maybe he really does like Kraven, but like people have asked him, like, you want to be in James Bond? You've got he's one of those guys that everybody always brings. Have either of you guys seen this interview?
I don't believe so.
I'm familiar with the James Bondness, but
I'll find the exact clip because it's pretty funny.
He hasn't done the Kraven heel turn yet, though. I think he hasn't gotten the full Dakota Johnson of this.
No,
Dakota Johnson went full Dakota Johnson before the movie was even out.
Yeah.
That's right. She broke the record for earliest to destroy your own movie.
I think he likes it. Like I do think he thinks Kraven's pretty good, and good for him. Because it's probably better if you're an actor to
not hate your work.
Yeah, not hate your work and be able to go out and tell people it's good, even if it's not. But I don't know if I'm able to find. Oh no, I do. Here we go. This is what I loved. If I have the right one, I think. Pretty much. Okay, so I have actually a couple instances of this because everybody at these press junkets has. Well, yeah, that's true. Especially Kraven. He has the cat's blood, so they want to ask him how to become a cat. And also, apparently, the James Bond movies are in a fucking disaster situation right now, where like Amazon wants to make them a billion spinoffs, and the single woman who owns all the rights to James Bond is like, get fucked, and that's pretty cool.
Good for her.
Do you guys remember her name? It's a fascinating name.
I forget her first name, but her last name's Broccoli.
Barbara Broccoli, yeah. So she is the figurehead, I guess, or like I assume the whole family has some sort of right to this, but she's the one that always goes out and talks about it.
Albert Broccoli was the producer who got the rights and started making the movies like from the beginning. And I guess just in all the studio deals, he never gave them up.
What I'm worried about is that when she dies, the family's going to sell out and be like, give us the money and you can make every James Bond everything. So,
I mean, like I said, she's already not the person who made the original deal. It was I think her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
So, the family legacy is strong so far.
I respect it. Like,
that's fair. Fair.
She's had listen, compared to Tony, who we just talked about and are still talking about, she's lived through the era of one good, one bad James Bond, which I think they would kill for over on the Spunk. So,
yeah, right.
That's could be much true. Worse. And, I think those movies have managed to maintain, which I think every other franchise would kill for right now, the movie event status thing. Like when a James Bond movie comes out in 3 years or however long it's going to be, people will be like, that's a movie you go see in the theater, as opposed to all the other ones where it's kind of that, or kind of something you wait for streaming, or there's 50 spinoffs or whatever. So
it's true.
It helps that they only make one every few years.
Yeah. And they are I think for a lot of people, just what a movie is. Like if it's Jaws, Indiana Jones, and James Bond or whatever, those are your guys. Okay. So here's the thing. This was the turn that I loved. So they asked him, about James Bond. And if he's going to be they asked him specifically, are you going to be wearing a tuxedo soon? Or are you going to have that James Bond tuxedo on? And he said, at his words, I'm quoting, "I love slipping on a tuxedo. Do you know what? I wear a tuxedo in Kraven the Hunter. You should go see that movie. It's got a lot of action and it's a thrill ride, honestly."
What a god.
I love it.
God.
Also, when asked a different interview, this is another one that I found, if he's gonna, because he's got a big action, he's done a lot of action movies with, God, what is he known for recently? Like The Fall Guy and this and stuff. His James Bond would have a lot of action, like whatever. He said, "I would say that if that's the kind of flavor you like, you should definitely come and see this movie because the action sequences in this movie, it's just like, it's insane. And the places that they take you are great. I mean, to have the R-rated action in a Marvel movie is just super exciting. So yeah, come see this movie. It won't disappoint." And I love that. I think
what
it's
an
great.
Incredible person. That's amazing.
This is the difference between the Hollywood Nepo baby and the Hollywood self-made man.
Yeah.
The self-made man has got to be out there hustling.
He's selling,
Nepo
baby.
baby can be like, the movie I'm in fucking sucks.
Yeah. And he could even if he wanted to, which is the crazy part, he could just pivot to Nosferatu instead and go, yeah, I'm in a lot of movies. Right now I'm thinking about that Nosferatu movie that's coming out because he's in that. And that's, getting lots of critical love. But instead he's sticking with the, the girl who brought him to the dance or whatever the phrase is. Like, he is ride or die for Kraven. And, and that's, maybe he's the reason that that Tony is like so into it. He's like, I keep asking Aaron Taylor Johnson if this movie sucks, and he keeps saying no. So some people like them, I think.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson seems like a pretty smart guy, so it must be a good movie.
Yeah, and I don't know. It makes me like these movies a little bit more. It makes me like Kraven a little bit more, knowing that he, either actually or fictionally, for the sake of selling the movie, is willing to say that it's a good movie and he likes it. And I think that's fun. It's kind of like what Morbius was with the memes, except it's all coming from the main actor. Like,
yeah, right.
I wish they asked him about other things that weren't James Bond, though, or action movies.
And the main actor isn't a big old creep.
Yeah, he has an interesting relationship that a lot of people have talked about, and I don't fully understand. But it's definitely not the same level of creep as Jared Leto.
Also, I believe he is not the creep in that situation.
No, yeah, it does seem like it's very.
He's the Reggie from Riverdale in that situation.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Or the Archie from Riverdale. They had a bit there too.
Oh yeah, in the first season. That's true.
With the music teacher, yeah. But yeah, so Kraven CEO says it's good, and says we've destroyed it
because of our jealousy.
Because of our jealousy, and like, I think my problem, what I keep thinking about with this, and because obviously, every year we make a list of the movies we're going to like and the movies we're going to hate. Every year
I decided ahead of time. We have a big meeting.
Yeah, and it's a big one. Yeah, all the critics. Every year we keep going. I know we're forgetting something for the hate list, and it's that fucking Spider-Verse movie. And every year that sneaks by but it's made by Sony. It's got Spider-Man in it. We should, remember for at least this next one that's never coming out because the star's a weirdo, that it is a movie that we hate because it's bad.
Well, the problem, Nando, is we always forget to bring it up because it's an animated movie and those aren't real.
Yeah, those don't count. Yep.
Yeah, fake movies. Ugh.
Speaking of movies, there's a Superman movie coming out, you guys. It's called Superman. It was called Superman Legacy, but they changed their minds because Legacy's a stupid title.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Did you guys watch the trailer for that?
Of course.
I saw it
obviously.
in a movie theater before a certain movie we're going to spend 4 hours talking about.
So I did not see it. I wish I saw it in a movie theater because apparently the movie theater even has some different stuff, like one or two little, shots, but something new. They made James Gunn made a Superman movie. It's got all your favorites: Superman, David Corn Sweat, our first American Superman, and one whole Superman.
Finally,
if you don't count the one on TV, who is also American, but you got an American from Philly too, actually. So,
America's
good America
city.
Yeah, exactly. So we got him. We got Rachel Brosnahan and her golden arm as Lois Lane. Saw a lot of her in the trailer. Then we got Nicholas
I
Hoult.
bury her with her golden arm.
I hope so too. And we got Nicholas Hoult and his golden head in this as a Lex Luthor, CEO, president. So watch out, Lex. They're coming for you. But he's a weird guy with a bald head who's like shaking nervously throughout the entire trailer. I thought it was interesting energy.
For me, I just got to say, I mean, there's a lot of this trailer that looks pretty cool, that, seems like the movie might be good. However, there's one decision they made that means the movie's trash and will be bad, and I hate it, which is that they changed it to Luthor Corp.
Yeah, they did do that. That's an interesting decision. Do you think it's because they hate all those Zack Snyder movies and this is a dig at them?
I mean, it could be. It might be because isn't Lex like a sex app or something now?
Oh, is it really?
Oh wait, no. I think it's like lesbian dating app.
Oh, so they don't want to, they want to fuck up the SEO. Ooh.
I gotta look this up.
You're right. Lex is some sort of LGBT. Yeah, all I see is it's got one of those big old landing pages that says, if it's queer, it's here. So
I love that. I love the little rhyme, like, if it's queer, it's here, baby. Oh, love that.
Luthor Corp. I don't like it,
doesn't have
though.
the same ring to it as Lex Corp.
No, yeah, it doesn't seem as evil. And it's just too long. Luthor Corp. Lex Corp. I think I could... Do you think I could get away with like Lex Industries, or is that the same, running into the same problem as Lex Corp? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know what it is, but it means the movie's gonna be terrible. That's the only reason.
They could change it because I know this isn't always true, or either this has been changed after the Smallville show, or just made way more canon. His dad's name is Lionel Luthor, so they could just call it the Lionel Company. And I'm pretty sure nothing else is that, so that would be kind of cool.
Yep, that's right.
Named after himself.
No other Lionel Company.
Nope. And I like. I agree. I don't like Luthor Corp. I think it's weird, especially because like there's 3 corporations that come up in this movie. Stag Industries, which is that guy's last name, so fine. We have Maxwell Lord, although I don't think we know what that company is going to be called. I think it's usually just Lord Industries or Lord whatever. And I don't know. Lex is traditionally the cooler sounding of them. What do you think, DJ? What's your favorite thing about the trailer?
What's my favorite thing about the trailer? I like how it was, and like this sounds like I'm going to be making fun of it, but I'm really making fun of everything that we've had to endure for the past like decade. With regards to the DCEU, I like that it's bright and has colors. I was like, ooh, I see everyone's face, and it doesn't look so depressing like it was filmed in a gutter. That's cool. Isn't that exciting, everyone? I don't know. That's what makes me excited about this movie potentially. Do I think it's going to be good? Boy, well, we sure will see, won't we?
Yeah,
we'll see.
James Gunn has made a lot of great movies, but I just don't think there's a lot of relevance to a story about an immigrant defeating an evil CEO. I just don't think that has any real relevance to modern American society.
Well, Diggins, as much as you may think that, you're going to have to eat your words, because not only will this have relevance for that reason, it also seems to have some sort of subplot set in the Middle East that apparently was bigger in the first draft of the script and is not as big of a part in this draft of the script. But you do see all the people running around and that kid picking up the big sign. So maybe that'll say something about our current times. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, wow.
Superman just comes on and starts the movie with like a little thing where he's like, these guys are good, these guys are bad. This is what genocide is. And you know what? I don't see it. I've used all my supervision and it all seems up the board. Maybe.
I mean, after Black Adam and those Wonder Woman movies, they might need something like that to course correct.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll get to it, but yeah, there's some, that's a, it's a weird trope. What's the other thing I was thinking about this movie? I had another thought.
You were thinking about, you're like, oh man, James Gunn, he's so cool. And this movie won't have jars of piss. You're really excited about the lack of jars of piss.
Oh, you mean movie. Granny's peach tea?
Yeah. Well, it'll have the other thing, right? Where one character says like the word poop a lot or something, right? Like Drax's massive turds or whatever. So who's that going to
yeah.
be? Is that going to be Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner, talking about his?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
who's
100%.
the character who's going to have an out of touch like way of speaking that makes him sound like a big giant man who's a baby?
I mean, Guy
You know what I
Gardner,
mean?
you got it in one.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame because they gave him the haircut and this. It's pretty good. Do you?
The haircut is so perfectly horrendous.
Yeah, it's awful, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, I feel like this trailer. I know this wasn't the most viewed trailer like of all time, but it's probably I think the most viewed DC one in a while. Which
Not as much as that Beyonce Lion King one, that's for sure.
oh yeah, or
Oh,
Beyonce
right,
halftime
yeah, I mean-
show. You know, those are big.
Oh, how was that? I watched no sports
Didn't
on
watch it
Christmas.
either.
It'd be very
Yeah.
sad. They put too much sports on Christmas, right? Like I can't.
It used to, yeah.
I can't watch sports during Christmas.
Well,
It's
you
very
need
hard.
some reason to not talk to your family.
That was what basketball was for, though.
yeah,
I don't understand why
yeah.
football has to get in on. Maybe it was always here, but it just doesn't feel like it was.
No, I agree. It was stupid. They missed with that one. The rare miss by the NFL.
Yeah.
Am I right, fellas?
A normally
rare miss
perfect
by-
organization.
Yeah.
And Netflix and their live sports streaming, whatever initiative. Rare miss. They almost got one. Although I haven't heard anything, maybe because less people were watching it, about any humongous outages like with the Jake Paul one. So
There was
maybe they're
apparently a
getting their shit
brief
together.
little kerfuffle in the beginning, but then it was like, it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. We're good. So
Very good. Well,
kept the kerfuffles to a minimum.
speaking of movies, or let's say franchises, with a brief kerfuffle in the beginning that they fixed and now it's good, let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
The,
good transition. One of your best, Nando. Ending
the
the year
greatest.
strong with
I know.
transitions.
End of the year. So, well, I use all the power that I usually put into actually guessing the summaries correctly into the transitions because there is like a set amount, and it's on one side of this seesaw. But yeah, let's talk about Sonic. It's a movie of the week. Came out against Mufasa and at least won the opening weekend. I'm not sure how it did on the full like stretch because it's one of those weird weeks where people go to the movies on like Thursday, Tuesday and stuff because of holiday.
Is there something special about this week?
I mean, there's something special, but you can't talk about it. I mean, you can now, but you couldn't before.
You couldn't before because of woke.
Nope, not in public schools, that's for sure. But yeah, the Sonic 3, one of the more anticipated movies of the year, and a movie that we definitely did Sonic 2 on the podcast. I don't remember if we did Sonic 1.
We
probably
have, right?
did. Yeah, because it came out 2020.
It was like one of the last
so
ones.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the last movie a lot of people saw in theaters before everything happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's got all the stars that were in the original ones, some new ones. It's got a lot of different
No matter
plot
how much
points.
it seems like they're not really relevant anymore.
Yep. They yeah, that's true. Everybody's back. There's new ones that are even less relevant somehow. And new ones that are more relevant. So there's a good mix. And of course, there's a bunch of weird plot points bits ripped directly from video games that make a lot more sense if you play the game. So I feel like that we'll get into that. Who is in charge of the IMDb this week? IMDb Charmy this week, as far as I'm
me.
concerned.
Oh,
Yeah. She wasn't in this, and she wasn't in this game, so that makes sense. Wait, is Charmy B a boy?
yeah.
No. I
In
think
the
when
comics, he's a prince of some
Ooh.
sort of bee society.
Interesting. Good for him. Is he a beekeeper? Does he kill a bunch of guys?
I haven't read the comics really, so he might be revealed at some point to be a beekeeper, but I don't know that for sure.
Cool.
Cannot confirm.
Yeah. Well, there's always Sonic 4 or whatever, which they have confirmed, I believe, this week that they are developing. So
Yeah,
very
they
good.
it was like immediate. It's like, by the way, we're still doing them.
I think
No
they
one
said
worry.
before the movie even came out.
Yeah, I don't
They
think
were
we've
like,
done this.
we believe.
I was going to say, I don't know what the budget for this is. And I don't want to check it because, we'll find out eventually. I don't look at IMDb. But while it seems like it's expensive, I can't imagine it's as expensive as something as beautiful as Red One. So it's probably one of the movies that, like, once you can guarantee it's going to make 100 million, worldwide, then you're good.
Do we know how many bottles Jim Carrey was pissing in?
And how many Well, would it be double because of all the work he's doing, being two guys, or was it half because he's expending so much energy sweating being two guys that he doesn't even need to be that much,
Hard to say.
Also, yeah.
122 million, in case anyone wanted to know.
Okay, so yeah,
that's like half as much as Red One.
Yeah, and that's exactly how much. That's like that's a little bit more than double how much The Rock got paid for Red One. I think we determined that was $50 million, right? At one point whenever we were talking about that, yeah, it's an insane amount of money. But yeah, so definitely successful enough. That's good. That's how movies should work.
I mean, that's still an insane amount of money for a movie to cost, but like we've just become so inured to that sort of figure, and like the figures are getting even more ridiculous now that we hear 122 million and we're like, yeah, a reasonable amount to pay to make a movie.
I guess this is one of those movies, unlike Red One, where you can see the money on screen. You can see the talent they hired and go, that guy costs money, and you can see the hedgehogs flying around in space and shit and go, that probably wasn't. They probably did that with the computers. As opposed to Red One, where everything was just a big mush, and everyone was doing a bad job.
It's like these baseball contracts. They're out of control. It's like, let's get 150 million Juan Soto. It totally makes sense. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, as always, DJ, you're totally right. Teams that just pay a lot of money to be really good are evil, bad teams that should never be rooted for ever again.
I mean, you keep spitting those facts, man, and you're just totally right. You're just absolutely right. Oh, man.
So anyway, DJ is the IMDb Charmy B, you're correct. Yeah. So what is your so you can take over.
Oh yeah. So it is once again time for the IMDb. B is in spelling bee. And everyone's wondering. How do the folks at IMDb.com make all this happen? How do they put all these beautiful summaries for us to enjoy the populace? Well, I'm going to tell you.
I was wondering
how that. Well, exactly. So now I get to tell all of you, and it's really cool. So every year there's a little known holiday that is celebrated in the far corners of Antarctica by a society of penguins, and it's called IMDb-Miss. And now this is a secret that I hopefully won't be executed for, but IMDb.com actually was started by a group of hyper-intelligent penguins who celebrated IMDb-Miss. So it wasn't the people, it was the penguins, because, IMDb.com was the first website. I think we've said this many times before. But the purpose of IMDb-Miss was the penguins would go around and they would tell stories of their ancestors, and then they would have the penguins write down, just like a brief summary of the story so they could like get an idea for it, so they didn't have to retell the whole story of their ancestors over and over and over again. But eventually, unfortunately, due to events beyond anyone's controls, probably wasn't humanity's fault or anything like that. But all the hyper intelligent penguins went extinct, and we were left with the penguins as we know them today. Just normal intelligence penguins. But they still kind of do their best to do a type of IMDb summary. So every IMDb-Miss, the penguins gather and they, figure out how they're going to do all the summaries for the movies that came out the previous year. And then there's like a big ceremony where they get together and they exchange gifts, and they make sweet, sweet love just in giant packs. They just make love. And then after the sweet love making, they write down the summaries to movies. Yeah. So
wow. Penguins are famously monogamous. So
that's
like
true.
Do they just pair off and like do it on their own? Is it like a big field of penguin sex, but they're all with their own partner? Like, what's the situation?
It's not really it's kind of seen as a hall pass, I think, which Nando and I did watch the most recent season of The Ultimatum, and hall passes come up a lot. And I think the penguin orgy is seen as an ultimatum hall pass type situation.
Isn't the ultimatum just a huge hall pass?
Well, you're saying that out of context, so I'm not even going to count it against you. But it's actually an experiment to find love. So
yeah, it's not a hall pass.
You got good intentions. It's not a hall pass. Definitely don't say that on camera, but maybe you do. What was I going to say about this? Oh yeah, penguins. I've seen the Hall Pass movie. Yeah, you guys watch that? Jason Sudeikis and the other one.
Maybe. I'm honestly not sure.
I have not.
Yeah. No, it's pretty bad. You'll never believe it. They probably don't sleep with women in it. Like they probably learn the error of their ways. But
Get
spoiler
outta
alert,
here.
I'm pretty sure his wife does hall pass on him, but not doesn't want to or something. Not like doesn't want to, but doesn't go into the event expecting to. But then she finds, and finds it, and then they live happily ever after.
And then she leaves him, and he ends up a broken and bitter man.
Mm-hmm. Which is what happens when you get hall passed on.
Mm-hmm.
It's it does a lot, and we'll talk about it. But there's some characters in this that maybe fall in love, and maybe their love is destroyed by the end of the movie or something. So none of those feelings may persist into Sonic 4. We'll see. But DJ, who goes first in this one?
Who does go first? It's a great question.
Also, how did the Penguins do on this one?
Oh yeah, good question.
Oh, I mean, they don't judge Diggins. They're penguins. They're not monsters. But like by my estimation, I think what the Penguins didn't want to do, because they're good people. They didn't want to spoil anything with this summary, so they kept it like I don't want to say like, oh, it was like super high level. They are penguins, but like they're definitely like, well, we're not gonna spoil anything. Like that'd be like super messed up, right? So I think they were cognizant of that. So I hope that helps.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you,
Nando
Penguins.
gets to pick who goes first because he was last week's loser.
Yeah. I'll go first, and I will say Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. Well, you know what? I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to say after some new foes become... What do they do? After some new foes arise and threaten the world, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles need to work together and defeat them. Yeah, sure. That's it.
All right, Diggins.
When Sonic and his friends are recruited to face a new threat, they end up making some unlikely alliances in order to save the world.
All right. Neither of you did great, but one of you clearly won.
Oh.
And it only makes me sad because I had some like sick trivia.
I mean, I think it's only fair that we do it anyway.
There's many situations in which we have done useless tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to belabor this because this was good, but I have two questions here that I think that maybe since like neither of you like did awesome, if one of you gets these perfectly, we'll say golden money ball, you win.
The
Huzzah,
snitch.
The snitch. You're the greatest one ever. So why don't we do that? I get to make the rules.
Okay.
All right. So I have two. I had a lot of questions, but I'm just going to do what I think are the best two. All right. Shadow the Hedgehog has appeared in many different Sonic games, and non-Sonic games, right? Sonic property adjacent. I'm sure you can imagine, right? How these exist.
The Olympic Games, etc.
Thank you. I want you guys to give me the number of games that Shadow the Hedgehog is in, and not as like a playable character, like playable character included, but is in. So, like including cameo appearances. How many games is Shadow the Hedgehog in?
Okay. So I'm not sure how many Sonic games he was even been in. Like I know when this one came out, and then kind of a guess at how many there were, but then like how many like handheld or weird mobile games has he been in? How many of those exist? And then spin-offs and like or like random cameos in like Super Smash Brothers or whatever. I'm gonna say, I think this is really high, but I'm gonna say 30.
Okay, Diggins.
I think if anything, that might be too low.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with 52.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna save the reveal for dramatic suspense.
Great.
So second question. Okay. In the 2011 edition of the Guinness World Records Gaming Edition,
Ooh.
Shadow and Sonic both appear.
Is Tommy Tallarico in that edition?
I have no idea. But Sonic and Shadow both appear in the top 50 video game characters of all time. I want you to give me both of their places where they land in the top 50 video game characters of all time.
Ooh.
Okay. Diggins, you want to go first this time?
Sure. I'm going to put Shadow at number 27 and Sonic at number 6.
Okay. I'm going to say Shadow's far lower. I'm going to say Shadow's like maybe, part of me wants to say 50, but I feel like when those lists usually start, they start with like some silly character or something. So I'll say 48 for Shadow. And then for Sonic, I'm going to say like 2. I think it's Mario Sonic. I can't think of a character that feels... And the Olympic Games and in this. Yeah, I feel like as someone who grew up around the time, not exactly during, but like around the console wars, like they were the two guys.
What year was this again? Sorry.
2011.
I feel like that's Square in the Sonic doldrums when all like the gaming press was like, Sonic the Hedgehog fucking sucks. There's never a good Sonic game. So I feel like he dropped a few rankings for that.
That's fair. But anyway, so those are my guesses, 48 and 2.
All right. Well, so I will, and I was so curious. I did pull up this whole list, and I'll briefly go through it. But I have to say, I think the spirit of this was with the true fan of Shadow the Hedgehog. And Diggins, you are the winner all across the board.
Wow,
you were closest on all the questions. You got the summary right. Diggins, you've run away with it, my good friend.
My goodness.
So I apologize to you, Nando. I'll
I'm
start with the
on
questions.
the haters right now.
I'll start with the question and end with the summaries. So, Diggins, you were very close with the Shadow games. You said 52, 56.
Oh,
there's so many games, guys.
That was good. I had no idea, so that was a pure guess.
Yeah, all the Mario Sonic Olympic games, all like Super Smash Bros. Where he's like the trophies. Like there's Nando, you're right, mobile games. There's so many games. Tough. 56. Incredible. And I will I'm gonna go through this real quick. Best video game characters according to the 2011 Guinness Book of World Records video game edition. We have 1, Mario, so good instincts, Nando. 2, Link. 3, Master Chief. 4, Solid Snake. 5, Cloud Strife. 6, Pac-Man. 7, Lara Croft. 8, Gordon Freeman. 9,
Lara
Kratos.
Croft at 7 in 2011.
I don't know. Tell you.
She's pretty. She got movies. Like people in the public, sphere knew her before a lot of these guys. I'm thinking Cloud Strife for 2011 is a surprising one for me.
So 9, Kratos, and rounding out the top 10, Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's insane. That Kratos beat Sonic the Hedgehog. That is
2011. I can buy it.
I mean, but it's the best ones of all time. Like, how long had Kratos even existed for? A decade, maybe before this?
2005.
He wasn't even a decade old, whereas Sonic was like one of the first gaming characters people could recognize by name. That's huge.
Yeah, but recency bias is a thing.
I guess so. What was that? Where was Shadow?
You're going to go all the way down to 25.
That's
again, I almost nailed it.
You did. 24, Sam Fisher from Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Yeah, they make a lot of those, I guess.
26, Jack from Jack and Daxter.
Sure.
I don't.
I played the hell out of those games, and that's really funny.
And then go all the way down to 50, Sackboy.
Wow.
Little Big Planet.
Wait, but so Knuckles and Tails were not on this list, or were they on this also?
If
Shadow makes it, Knuckles and Tails don't. That's insane.
That is correct. I think Sonic and Knuckles are the only ones who are represented.
You mean Sonic and Shadow?
Sonic and Shadow.
Well, I think it makes perfect sense because Sonic is Goku, Shadow is Vegeta, Knuckles is Piccolo, and Tails is like what, Krillin? Like Piccolo and Krillin are great, but like it's all about Goku and Vegeta.
Absolutely. I mean, like not big. Like that would be true if Goku was also, Goku's in the first episode of Dragon Ball or whatever, probably. And then so is Vegeta, whereas Shadow shows up so late in the game compared to characters like Knuckles and Tails.
Nando.
Mm-hmm.
That's true for Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Z is already a sequel series to Dragon Ball, which was a whole years-long series about Goku that took place all before Z, which has zero Vegeta in it whatsoever. Vegeta shows up very late in the overall Dragon Ball saga.
I mean, you said a year. Like
I said years.
Oh, years. Well, how many years are we talking about here? How about what percentage of the character's existence was Vegeta not present for? Because for Sonic and Shadow, it's like, especially in 2011, like 80%. Shadow does not, well, not 80%, maybe. Well, close to like 70%, right? Shadow does not even exist. Whereas Knuckles, Tails, game 3 and 2, like they're so important.
But if we look at the arc of like Sonic, right? So like Sonic OG 1990, yep. Shadow is 2001, so it's 11 years later, and now it's 2024. Like we've had Shadow more in our lives than we haven't had Shadow. So,
I guess, but to have like I feel like every Sonic appearance has Tails. And maybe not Knuckles, but definitely Tails. Whereas I don't think every Sonic appearance has Shadow post that. So I feel like, I don't know, Tails is just more significant.
I mean, it's like I said 56 games with Shadow. Maybe the Tails number's like 70. Like like I'm saying, it's not so far off.
I would put the Tails. I would guess the Tails numbers in the hundreds, but that's just me.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Real quick on this list because I'm fascinated by it. Before we get off, before we move to the IMDb summary, I think there's a couple things that would take another pass at this. Number 49, Ryu. Meanwhile, number 22, CJ Johnson from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I'd rethink that one. And 29, Naruto.
Okay.
A top
out of their
50
fucking minds.
video game character.
To be fair, much like the Golden Globes,
Boruto's dad.
You could buy your way into this one, right? Like, I feel like if those companies, like Sony seems like really threw some cash at this, they were able to keep, like the Sony characters high, and the Sega characters, it seems like fell by the wayside.
Yeah, like Pikachu's number 20. There's no way he's
that's
not
insane.
The top 10. Yeah.
Okay, I have an answer for you now, Nando. The original run of the Dragon Ball manga went from 1984 to 1995. Vegeta was first introduced in 1989.
So it's like halfway through.
Halfway through.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like just Vegeta feels like a far more constant. Like I'm trying to think of what the actual example for this for me is, but I don't feel like Vegeta even like Shadow is. She's not even the Vegeta because he's it kind of sucks, and Vegeta's pretty cool, but
Nando, you might be stalling.
No, I'm really racking my brain on this one, trying to figure out who he is. Like, you know what it is? It's the Spider-Man Venom thing, where it's like, yeah, technically Venom's pretty important, but any Spider-Man fan knows Spider-Man has bigger fish to fry than Venom, and like more allies that matter than Venom. But to your general public, to your laymen, Venom seems like he's a big deal in Spider-Man. So like your AV Rads and probably Tony, whatever the fuck his name was, are all out here going, oh, we gotta put Venom in everything. They don't know what they're talking about. But anyway.
All right. Well, DJ, why don't you read us the summary that I also did?
Oh, yeah. What was the summary?
Okay. Nando, I wish you went with your instincts because you had a really good beginning. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite against a powerful new adversary. Shadow, a mysterious villain with powers unlike anything they've faced before. With their abilities outmatched, Team Sonic must seek out an unlikely alliance. So, Diggins, you had mentioned the alliance and had more of like the flow of having to take out like a mysterious.
Diggins didn't even name all the characters. This is a tragedy. This is a travesty.
I understand, Nando.
Yeah.
Well, Diggins.
This is again Tails and Knuckles erasure, apparently, which is some sort of conspiracy that you three or you two and the summary penguins or whatever are all involved in.
I love Tails and Knuckles.
No, you didn't name them in your
my
summary.
favorite Sonic character was Tails. Like, I was never a Shadow stan. I mean, I like Shadow, but he was never my favorite.
Now, why wasn't Tails in your summary then? Because you don't care.
Because I know the public and I know the penguins, and I know what they would focus on.
I will say my favorite Knuckles, unlike Sonic, he doesn't chuckle.
He'd rather flex his muscles.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, some deep cuts along those lines in this movie.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to how much this was for the fans. But Diggins, since you won, you can tell us what you thought of this movie.
I do. These Sonic movies are really weird to me, where it feels like with every one, they get closer to making the movie they actually want to make instead of whatever the studio forced them to make. Because this is the most, like, actually just the plot of a Sonic game that any of these has been. That Sonic game being Sonic Adventure 2, which, of course, for people of our generation who played video games and liked Sonic, was a very formative game. It's the one that introduced Shadow, the Vegeta of the franchise. And I played a lot. I played over and over again, personally. So I have a deep connection with this era of the Sonic series, which also means, like, I feel like I can't be fully objective about this. I feel like if you don't really care about Sonic, or like, recognize all the little things they put in, little references and the musical stings and whatnot, it's probably like an okay movie. Like, Jim Carrey's there yucking it up, putting in a very energetic performance like he used to do, which he always does in these movies, to be clear. But I feel like he hadn't done this sort of like high energy comic performance in a long time before the Sonic movie, the first one. So it's just fun to see him doing that again, because he doesn't really anymore. And so, like, there's that, and as far as like kids movies go, they're pretty like basic plot wise, but they're fairly competent. They more or less have character arcs and like plots you can follow. But for someone like me who is a fan and is not immune to propaganda, there were moments in this that got me where I was like, that's cool. I like that that's in there. And that elevated it to a fairly enjoyable experience. As a movie, it's like fine. It's average, perhaps 6 out of 10, but a lot of little touches that just go straight to my nostalgia centers of my brain, which I am an avowed. I'm on the record. I think relying on nostalgia is bad, but everyone's got something, right? And this is for me, so it works. So yeah, I think it's good. I think it's probably the best out of these so far, because it's the most like actually a Sonic game. Like, by the time James Marsden and Tika Sumpter are doing things in the plot, I'm like, oh yeah, they're in this movie, instead of them being like the main focus like in the first one. And yeah, I enjoyed it. What about you, Nando? What did you think?
So like, we've seen these movies kind of, not come and go, but like we're saying, there's been 3 of them, 4 if you count the Knuckles show. But like, there's been a lot of Sonicking over the course of the last 5 years. And I do think, like with some other, it's like I don't know what you would call it, an anti-Jurassic Park or something. Every sequel has been progressively better than the one after it. And I think this one continues in that like trajectory. I think this is a pretty like, okay, this isn't like, I wouldn't say this is like Puss in Boots 2, where it is a like what you would, I don't know what you call it, but like some sort of transcendent piece of art where you'd say, hey, I know you hate those Puss in Boots movies and you don't like those Shrek movies, but Puss in Boots 2, that's gonna change your life or whatever. Like that, I don't think this is that. But I think this is a, like, if you can convince someone that they will, if someone is not opposed to Sonic and can enjoy a movie that is silly, this is pretty much gonna hit all the right marks and is a fun, good little movie that I don't think anybody I know could watch and not get some joy from. Obviously, it's more geared towards kids, but like I think it's pretty fun. I think it's paced well. Like everybody's doing a good job in it. I'm the same way that Diggins is like a real big sucker for Shadow and Sonic and all of them. I'm a big while I also enjoy Shadow and Sonic, I'm a big sucker for like 90s Jim Carrey, and this is as close as we've gotten to one of those since, I don't know, Yes Man maybe. But like the way that he is just used in this, I think is pretty insane. I also think I've come full circle on the human characters where I used to hate them and I was like, oh, their games put too much of them in there, or the movies do. But I think this movie, every time one showed up, I was psyched. I was like, oh man, that guy, these two, they're back, baby. Like, what have they been up to? Because the balance is right and by balance, I mean like the seesaw is tipped way further on the hedgehog side than the just random bullshit that the humans are dealing with side. I think everybody's doing a good job. Like I think Keanu was good addition. There's some parts of it that are weird, and we'll discuss them. And as an adaptation of a game that we all like, I think it's as faithful as I can imagine it would be. So yeah, I think it was pretty good. I liked it. I don't think it's like the best, kids movie of the year or anything, but it's definitely the best Sonic movie, and an overall pretty fun time. What about you, DJ? What did you think of Sonic 3?
Yeah, I very much in agreement. This this movie hits a lot of the pleasure centers of my brain. There's like, I think for me, when I peaked and just, I was ready to jump in with the Penguins, baby. There's a certain song they play, which we'll talk about in a certain scene. And it's just like, I've never taken ketamine, but I guess that's what it feels like. Cause I was so high and I was like, this is amazing. And I think this movie leaned into a lot of the fan service. And the to the point you guys made about the human characters, I was really worried in the last movie where it's like, we gotta center it around the wedding, and it's like, oh no, like we're gonna have to keep doing this crap. But like when Sonic jumps through the ring portal and is like, Tom, Maddie, you're in the adventure now, I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like what a great way to just like have this happen. And it's like not messy, it like doesn't matter, right? I thought if separate point, if each one of these movies has to have a stupid dance scene, I thought this movie's stupid dance scene was the best of the stupid dance scenes. Way better than the fucking Uptown Funk from the last movie, which I thought was horrible.
I kind of forgot about that. What was it? How did that go?
In the bar, it was like Sonic and Tails had to do like
in the Siberian bar with all the scary Russians.
Oh yeah,
they're like, let's dance to Uptown Funk.
Now listen, DJ, was the actual dance part terrible? Maybe. However, that is the scene where a man tears off his shirt and reveals a tattoo of himself in the exact same pose. Yeah. That got me real good.
I forgot that happened. That's amazing. But yeah, I think these are getting progressively better. This is the movie that convinced me that we're going to go full Fast and Furious with these. We're going to have 10 movies, right? Like, and every single one, there'll be a post-credit scene with a new character. And the Team Sonic bench is deep enough.
I was going to say, if you're going to do the Sonic franchise is perfect for that. We're never running out.
Yeah. And they've already hit the Fast and Furious formula, which is the bad guy from the last one is a good guy in the next one. Like, it's perfect.
So I like the direction these are trending in. It's crazy. Sliding doors moment, right? Where if Paramount never fixes Ugly Sonic, this franchise never fucking happens. Yeah. Like it's crazy that was like an inflection point for this, where it's like, oh, here's Sonic, guys. And everyone said no, and they're like, oh, sorry, we didn't mean to offend. Let's get back in the lab. And like, they delayed it, and it's like, oh no, they delayed the movie. Oh, and like, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but like, we're here now, and I think that is like something where it's, I know they already announced 4, but they might as well have announced like 4 through 7, right? Because even if 4 sucks, they'll make 5, just because they gotta give it another shot, right? They're gonna have to find a way, though. Like they're gonna have to slap the young cream on James Marsden, or like make him a CGI character. Because
I mean, he's playing a regular human being. If he gets older, that's just normal.
No,
That's
I know,
true.
but they want you to think it's the same guy from the first, like in that at that point in time, right? You know, they want you to forget about that. I mean, eventually Tom and Maddie have to have a kid, right? Like that's going
They
to
have
be
a kid. It's Sonic.
Yeah, and Tails and Knuckles. They
They're
adopted
gonna-
3 orphans.
They're gonna have a human baby, and that's gonna be like a friction point. Or do these characters have to be like just childless people? Like I guess in all of the how many, like there are a lot of humans in different like Sonic lore, but how many adults? I feel like he's always like Sonic's always prancing around with like kids.
Yeah, there's
Right.
one adult. It's
Usually-
Eggman.
Yeah.
And like,
Actually, when there's humans, they're usually adults.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, there's the commander of G.U.N, there's the president of the United States, there's Eggman.
I mean, on the good guy team, not like ancillary characters, like ones that are part of like the Sonic crew, right?
There's not a
Oh.
lot of humans part of the Sonic crew.
I guess.
yeah.
Just in
In fact,
Sonic X, right?
Yeah, the TV
Yeah.
show, sure, Sonic X.
Yeah,
But like in the games,
oh yeah, sure.
I'm not sure there's any humans that are
Ju-
part of the Sonic crew.
Just comics and like TV shows, right? Like that's it. But so yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna make that prediction that in one of these future movies, Tom and Maddie will have a baby, and that will be a point of tension, right? Like they're gonna have to be like, we retire now, and then they bring them back like 3 movies later. It's we can plot the formula for these movies how they're gonna go
yeah.
now. We've hit that point, and I'm
Well,
so here for it.
Do you think
I
James
thought-
Marsden will be like, Sonic, this is about family?
Yeah, it's all family. What were you gonna
Yeah,
say, Nando?
I was gonna say I thought I could plot these out, especially after last movie, knowing that Shadow would be in this one. I'm like, I see where we're going. I'm not so sure where we'll be in 3 movies. Like, I think there's a lot of different ways this franchise can go. That I feel like if the movies continue to be successful, they won't have to follow the classic Sonic formula of kind of resetting a lot of things after the last Sonic game that bombed, where now they'll just be like, yeah, but just, I don't know, fucking this one and this one show up, and then they go on an adventure in this place. So I don't know what they're going to do. Like,
I
they're
can
going to make
tell
him a
you.
werewolf, right? Probably
Well,
not.
Yeah, Sonic
Eh,
Unleashed.
I hope
I
not.
think I'm gonna guess Sonic 7. It'll be some kind of Sonic Generations play where this Sonic meets Fat Sonic,
Yeah.
and then there'll be like a bit, and then we'll have some multiverse, maybe some time travel gets Silver in there. That's where I
man,
think
an
my
ugly Sonic.
7. Yeah. So it'll be a multiverse of Sonics and Eggmans. We'll get a lot of fan casting for various Eggmans, right? So that'll be part of it too. Don't worry. The script writers will have it till
I'm so excited for
need.
when they take elements of Sonic 06.
I don't even know what those are. What happens in that
Like
game?
that's when he kisses the human woman.
Right, yeah.
everyone's favorite.
There's a lot of time travel that doesn't
Yep.
really make any sense when you think about it.
Mm. Yeah.
That's when Silver's there from the bad future. He's the Trunks of the
Right.
Sonic franchise.
Yeah, Silver is just actually Trunks though. Like that's
Yeah.
just who he is. He starts as a time traveler and then transforms into time cop. Right? He's just like an average Joe, but then you know what? I'm gonna be a time cop now. That's my new job. I'm gonna police the time.
I'm not sure what the
That's what you
current
do.
canon is for Silver. I feel like he's just around sometimes, and people are like, "Aren't you from a bad future?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it."
I know at some point he goes to become time cop because they give him like, oh my god, they give him some kind of like special Chaos Emerald that can like alter reality or like erase you from time. Like it gets fucking crazy.
Is that its Sonic Forces?
Maybe. Anyway, we're not there yet. We're not at Sonic 15 yet. We're at Sonic 3.
Yeah.
Where we just have Shadow is the most crazy character to be in here. And Nando, unfortunately, or fortunately, maybe you'll have a real good time doing this. You have to tell us the incredible plot to this movie.
Yeah.
A movie that we all just saw and we're definitely like super fresh on. Not that happened a week ago with a bunch of holidays in between.
Yeah, in a movie where like a lot of stuff happens that you're like, I think I know what happens. But then there's other stuff where it's like, I'm sure they introduced this idea at some point, but I couldn't even guess when. So we'll see how we do. But this movie, funny enough, and I wonder if the characters in the universe know it, because one movie we learn exists in this universe is Detective Pikachu,
Yes.
And I think if I were some of these guards at G.U.N, I'd be like, oh, this is a lot like that Detective Pikachu movie. A big experimenty kind of guy, not an experiment, but like a guy breaks out of a big secret chamber that's guarded by a bunch of guys. It's a big vertical tube that he's standing in, and he kicks all their butts and then escapes from the raft. Basically, he's like in a stasis, and it's Shadow. We saw Shadow in the end of the last movie, although apparently it looks different. It seems like what they did was they used the Sonic asset or whatever, and then just kind of painted it shadow colors. Versus this where it's just like Shadow, because he has different, physical, like his, I don't know, hair's different, at least
chest tuft and everything.
Yeah. But then so Shadow is there, and he breaks out of the thing, and he does a Nightcrawler, kills everybody with teleporting and stuff. His whole thing, like in this, he has chaos control. He's able to access it without any emeralds in him or anything like that. And that means he can teleport around, and also he can like add chaos power to a bike at one point. I'm not completely sure what's going on there. He can infuse chaos energy into stuff, because I guess that's how they get the thing at the end to go. But yeah, it's mostly teleporting when you're fighting him. And he does have rocket shoes. We can fly. But yeah, and he kicks all those guys' butts. He's also sad about something. We see some flashes of it. Something, little girl. But as far as that part of the movie, when that gets revealed, I do not know. But at some point, we see that actual story play out. But then, you know what? We're back in what I assume is Green Hill Zone, or maybe outside of Green Hill City, for a little camping trip or picnic or something, where all the Sonic children, including Knuckles, who is clearly an adult, but like Sonic and Tails, are doing a little race to see who's the fastest one of the three of them, which seems like something that shouldn't work. Like, and even Sonic is like, why are we really even bothering? But Tails and Knuckles are both faster than Sonic a little bit. In Sonic's like some bullshit. It's like when Sonic loses the IMDb thing, even though he's right. Sonic has that energy.
But does he lose, Nando?
Well, so he does a big race with these guys, and then like does an amazing job. But then he does lose to Knuckles and Tails. They both got there first, but when we see them, he like touches them and finds out that they're little holograms. And this has all been set up so that his family of Maddie and Tom and the other two can make him a little birthday party, because it's Sonic's birthday. I mean, it's his birthday. I think they call it Earth Day.
Be Earth Day or something.
Be Earth Day, yeah. And it's like, that's the day that he came to Earth through the little portal and stuff. And they have a little party for him. It's cute. They, just hang out and stuff. And I'm assuming Tails invented this hologram projector thingy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. It's interesting because in these movies, Tails is smart and is like techie a little bit, but not at the level he is in some of the games where he's just constantly, walking around in a big giant chicken suit made of machinery and stuff, and like has a backpack or whatever. But like, yeah, you kind of figure he could make this. I guess like we'll get to it. But Sonic goes to his little hole. He gets holed up, and it finds all his old stuff, and is like, man, being Sonic was cool when I was a kid, but now I'm older. This was my life, man. And you're like, yeah, Sonic, I remember this part. You watched The Flash or something and ran around on a little treadmill or something else.
The cosmic treadmill?
I mean, it would appear. And you know what? Honestly, The Flash is actually a really good example of the Sonic Knuckles Tails relationship, or like the Sonic kind of, because he's like got a Reverse Flash, and if you have only read certain comics, you would think Reverse Flash is this big bad guy, but it's really this other guy they keep sleeping on. And then there's a gorilla that's also slotted higher than that guy before you get to Reverse Flash.
But also Reverse Flash is just always evil and hates him and never becomes a good guy.
Yeah, that's fair. He's he's a weird one. And I mean, he is from the future, so he's kind of Trunks also. Like he's got a weird story. But anyway, so they have this party. At the same time as this party, Shadow is in like Japan or something.
Yes,
Tokyo, yeah. And he's like in the middle of this city street, just escaping. He doesn't like, he knows been captured. I think he even says this at some point, that it's been 50 years, which is what it is in the game as well, I believe.
A big sign for some reason it says in, I guess, I don't know how the numbers are displayed in like Japanese advertisements. I don't know if they use Arabic numerals or if they display them with kanji or what. But it says in big Arabic numerals 2024.
Yeah. And Shadow's like, I mean, Shadow's pretty perceptive. He seems like he's like he's weird, right? Because like this movie already has a Drax. It's Knuckles. But Shadow's also a little bit Draxy too sometimes, where he's like, but he's Draxy in the sense that he's so like cool and tough that he's overwhelmed by how cool and tough he is, to the point of being a little bit silly. But overall, he seems like he's as smart as the smartest one of these little animals.
I feel like they don't really make any jokes out of Shadow himself for the most part. How other people react to Shadow is a joke sometimes, but he's a very serious, played straight character in this movie.
Yeah, I'll say there's 2 lines in it that make me go like, this Shadow is like, I guess it's not that he's dumb like Knuckles is, or yeah, it's not that he's dumb like Knuckles is. It's that he's like so single-minded that sometimes he seems like I think you could convince him to like, if I had Knuckles and Knuckles was like buying a hat for me and the hat cost $1, I think I could charge him $1 million and say it's a revenge hat, and he'd be like, oh yeah, good. That's what I want. Like, cause it's all he thinks about. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But he keeps being like, why do you guys keep trying to kill me? I'm just a little guy. Or he doesn't know. He doesn't know what anything is, I guess.
It's my birthday.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
I'm a little birthday boy.
So G.U.N is like having to kill Sonic, or Shadow, excuse me. But they find Sonic and recruit him to try to stop Shadow.
Say, since we're doing, wheel and summary
combinations,
where I just interrupt you with my thoughts and feelings on the movie, I do kind of, I don't know if I like this necessarily, but I found it so fascinating. When Shadow's in Tokyo and just walking around before G.U.N shows up to try to kill him, everyone is like so chill about this walking, talking hedgehog. Like, I guess the Sonic news has like come out across the world, and everyone's like, I guess anthropomorphic hedgehogs are just real, and not a single person reacts to the fact that Shadow is there. He's not hiding or anything. He's just walking on the street.
Yeah,
I guess Oh, go on.
I was gonna say Team Sonic is like, I guess, so prolific now, right? It's like they're all here.
But he's a new hedgehog, right? Like, if there was an alien that came to Earth and we all like kind of got used to it, like, okay, there's that one alien that lives in Montana for some reason. All right. And then I was in Japan and a different alien was walking down the street, I'd still be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, how much people must know a lot about Robotnik. Because we'll find out, there's another Robotnik that existed historically, which no one's really mentioned.
Several Robotniks, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. The Robotnik line is
2 other Robotniks.
Yeah.
Besides the 2 we see here. Well, 3, really.
But he is, at the end of each of his movies, he pulls some big fucking stunt where he hacks all the technology and turns into a big thing. So, like, I could see a world where people don't really know what Sonic's deal is, where they're like, I think there's some little blue guy who fights him because they don't really get the Sonic story, but the Eggman story is very clear. Like, so I don't think you could exist in this world without knowing who he is. But yeah, it is interesting because like kind of thinking about other universes like Flash or the Dragon Ball universe or something, these are the only 4 superpowered beings that seem to exist in this entire universe.
Well, so far,
Be right? Careful. Yeah, and
wormholes are gonna start opening up. Who knows who?
Yeah, I mean these guys. They didn't invent the Doctor Strange Sparkle Circle, but they've been using it for almost as long as Doctor Strange has. Says That was the original thing. But and they've been using it to travel into the multiverse, which Doctor Strange didn't do for a while. So anyway, in fact, I don't think Doctor Strange
started doing it.
Yeah, I don't think Doctor Strange can do it. It's weird that Cassandra Nova does it in Deadpool, because usually Doctor Strange to travel through a multiverse needs something else. Like America Chavez is like his multiverse hopper. But for some reason, I guess the Void doesn't count. Anyway, the Hedgehogs, like we're saying, are a superhero team that are recruited by Gunn. Gunn shows up in a helicopter and it's like, hey, we need you to go fight Shadow. He's killed all our guys. That's what they say. And then Sonic goes, but then all our guys are dead. Gunn is led by a character who I refuse to learn the name of, but is played by
Walters.
Commander Walters is who? Is that
the old man?
Okay, not him. Well, he is led by them, but then the character that we meet in this is what's her name? Kirsten Ritter.
Hector Stryker?
Yeah.
Okay,
maybe.
yeah. She is the only part of this movie that I would say doesn't work, but I don't really care because that's a pretty good hit rate. But she shows up and she's like, Team Sonic, you guys got to do something for us. You got to fight Shadow. But she's one of those fucking characters who doesn't trust Team Sonic either fully and like is willing to immediately turn on them if anything weird happens.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, like we're saying, because in this universe, there's never been a bad guy of these. There was kind of Knuckles, but like publicly, he wasn't a bad guy. And then
director Rockwell, excuse me,
Rockwell. Okay, but yeah, she so that, and then also like Sonic has always just been good and doesn't really cause too much trouble. Like the way that I feel like Sonic is usually written in Sonic lore is he's a little bit more of a troublemaker. And I could see a government that would be like, we don't want to work with him, but I guess we have to. But like, he's pretty responsible with these, I don't know, in these movies, especially since Sonic 1. So I don't know. Whatever. This one doesn't like him because each movie, movies tend to have a character like that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense that a person in the military, a famously conservative organization, no matter what society it's in, would think an alien, which is to say a person from outside of the society they are part of, would be evil. I can't think of any examples of people with conservative views thinking aliens or other people from outside of the society that they were born into are bad.
I mean, you could maybe think that, I think about Shadow and maybe even about Knuckles. I just don't see it with Sonic. Like I don't know.
They would say, Sonic, you're one of the good ones.
They would. Yeah. He's an American little guy who has like always lived here his whole life, as opposed to these other ones who are like little cultural or treated almost like refugees or like they're, not from here. And like, I guess
they got their own customs. Look at
their
crazy
exactly.
passport.
They're different. Yeah. It's, I guess it's just weird. Why is it weird to me?
You gotta get your politics out of the movie.
I think the movie does not justify it well at all. I actually do agree with you. I'm just being a little stinker.
No, and I think you're right. And I see the point you're making, and it makes sense. I guess I guess part of the problem is Gunn didn't exist before. Like they existed before, but they were not. Sonic and friends were not part of Gunn. The same way that they are in this movie. So we never had to do that with one of these characters. And the fact that they're just able to be recruited by them, but they're also still, they hate them so much, it feels weird. But there is another guy who's in charge who knows more about the Hedgehog business than these guys. Also,
Hedgehog lore.
Yeah. Also, Shadow the Hedgehog, like we'll learn, existed 50 years before Sonic.
Yes.
Where did he come from?
A meteor that crashed onto Earth.
Yep.
Right.
That might be related to a guy I said might show up in one of these movies by the name of Black Doom.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Can't wait for Black Doom.
I'm so excited for somebody on a screen in a movie theater, in a Sonic movie, to say the words Black Doom.
I mean, maybe it'll be sooner than we think. I don't know. I mean, we get a little taste of what the next one has, but they need to come up with I feel like, especially because of other things that happen in this movie, they're going to need to come up with a couple of things to do. Anyway, Shadow beats all the hedgehogs. He beats them up good, and echidnas and foxes. He teleports around, grabs a motorcycle, does an Akira slide up a building. Like I said, infuses the motorcycle with chaos energy.
Up the Tokyo Tower.
Yeah, and he has a gun. So it's just like in that one game. That's pretty good.
Guys, remember his gun?
Yeah,
that was one that was for the fans.
Yeah.
Sonic Shadow has a gun and shoots energy blasts at Sonic with his gun.
Yeah, unlike bullets, like in the Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Yeah,
they didn't bitch out. They gave him real
where
bullets.
Sonic was like, "You can use guns to shoot people. I don't like to do that, Shadow, but I guess you do."
Yeah. So anyway, so Shadow beats all the hedgehogs up. He's like, or all the guys up, Team Sonic. He's not like antagonistic in the sense that like, I don't think he would have fought them if they didn't say you can't kill anybody anymore or whatever. But
he's like, you guys, he's like, I don't know what you guys are doing here, but like, I don't care. You can just go.
Yeah. And I like that about him. I think he's pretty good in this. I don't know. This is Keanu. This is the first actual performance from Keanu. What do we think of him in this movie?
I liked him. Like, I thought it was a good Shadow.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like, Shadow is just a very like taciturn, sort of unexpressive character for the most part, which obviously there are like emotions that happen. And like, I think Keanu Reeves does a fine job of like the couple scenes where like you do gotta sell, like he is a guy who's very sad.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's just a very flat, even performance, like in terms of like what the character calls for. So I think it's, it's very much in his sort of affect. So like I wasn't blown away by it, but I was like, yeah, this works.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like him. He isn't, like you were saying, he's not really playing this like Knuckles, where I could be convinced someone told him this is like, a Solid Snake movie or something, and he's the new bad guy in that. And then, he has no awareness that he's a hedgehog, and he plays it pretty seriously. He's also like we were saying, he beats up all the hedgehogs and it just goes. He's after something, but we don't really know what it is. Well, not after something, I guess, but he has all this history. Gun doesn't like him. The Sonic guys are like, what's going on here? We need to regroup. Where can we go to regroup? And they're in Japan, and I guess this is something that exists worldwide. They go to a Chuck E. Cheese style restaurant called the Chow Garden.
Yeah, that's a thing that I'm familiar with as a Sonic fan.
I clapped when I saw it.
Was Sonic Adventure 2?
I did clap when I saw it.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is great. Was Sonic Adventure 2 the first game with the Chows?
Nah, Sonic Adventure 1 had them.
Sonic Adventure 1 had them, yeah. Although it was more in depth in Sonic 2. Sonic Adventure
that makes sense.
Bro, you could like take, because the second Dreamcast had the little like memory card with the screen that you plugged into the controllers. You could like take your Chows with you. Not like Tamagotchi level, you could just get steps and stuff. But like, it was wild how deep the Chow shit went in Sonic Adventure.
And for people that don't know, Chow are like the Pokemon of this universe, which is weird because these kids at this thing compare the Sonic friends to Detective Pikachu. But they're like these little guys that are maybe like a foot or two tall, and they have little,
if that.
Yeah, they're tiny, and that's true, because even Sonic is small, and they barely go up to his like waist. And they have these little like teardrop kind of shaped heads, and they're different colors, and they run around and go whatever. In
Sonic Adventure 2, you can fuse them with animals to give them special traits, and then have them compete in games.
That's right. Yeah, you breed them. There's a whole, like, the Chow Garden is like a little thing you can go to. Yeah. They come from eggs, which is interesting because they're not related to Eggman in that way. Just a lot of egg stuff going on in that universe. And
if they're held a lot by an evil person, they turn evil. And if they're held a lot by a good person, they turn good.
That's right. And they, so I think that I like that as a little thing in this. I would have liked the Chows to show up, but I guess you could still do it. At this restaurant, they're like talking to each other and having fun. But then the general guy, who's not Jessica Jones, shows up. What do we decide his name was?
Commander Walters.
So Commander Walters is an older man, and he's like, guys, we did Shadow. Shadow's a bad guy. We did him back in the day. I was there. And basically what it is like things were saying, we found a meteorite. We found there was like a guy in it, and we made him run around really quick, and he ran around so good he turned on all the machines, and we found out his power output was insane, but he was too dangerous, especially this one really what would you say, like ambitious or like weirdo scientist really wanted to do stuff. So we arrested that guy, and then we put Shadow in a little tube, and but now he's out, and there's this thing that he's trying to start, and he needs 2 key cards because this movie is a video game. It's fine. And I have one of them. I'm giving it to you guys. Don't let him have it. And you're like, and everybody would be like, just break it, right? Or just something.
Yep.
Throw it into the trash.
Yeah.
But he
doesn't give it to them yet, Nando.
Oh yeah, that's true. Then there's a big explosion and he dies and gives it to them. But he does. He has one.
It's not clear.
Yeah, it's weird. There's a couple of near deaths in this movie that are faked out in a way that I'm like, I could see that script going differently in versus this that didn't test as well. But this guy, like, he falls under some rubble. He gets crushed by a rock. His face gets all black like a Bugs Bunny put his fingers into Elmer Fudd's gun as it exploded onto him, and he hands him this thing. He's like, guys, don't let Shadow get it. There's another one. And don't do that.
But what happens in this Chow Garden that makes that happen to him, Nando?
So there's an invasion of little egg guys. The eggs that we're familiar with being Eggman's like little guys that like fly around that look like little drones. So drone sightings all over Japan now.
Oh, maybe that's what the drone sightings are. Eggman's in New Jersey.
Has anybody checked? Yeah, maybe he is. Or maybe Sonic is in New Jersey and Eggman's trying to find him. Ooh. Sonic would never go to New Jersey. Well, I don't know. He feels like he's got the New Jersey driver vibe. He's all over the place. The whole road is his, But then, I don't know. Would we accept him as a New Jerseyer?
Yes, he's so cool. I would absolutely accept him.
Yeah, he'd eat a good chili dog, and like we got some solid hot dogs in Jersey, and he'd he's got an attitude, and we love that here.
We do love that here,
and he's blue like the Giants, so he'd probably get into that.
It's true.
But we'll forgive him for that.
No. Giants are cool. But he goes to so anyway, the eggs go to the thing, explode it all, but right before they do fully explode it, a cool guy in a motorcycle shows up and beats all the eggs, and then is like, follow me, and you're like, it's gotta be the one human character that is an Eggman, and he's right, and it's that guy. But and he has special weapons that can kill the eggs, but it still doesn't fully save the guy, so the guy does still die. Like I'm saying, that turns out to be what is this character's name?
Agent Stone.
Of course, yeah. The guy who, and we'll see it in this, is notoriously Eggman's latte slinging lackey. He's all about loving Eggman and being part of the cause and mostly getting coffee. And he's been in these since the beginning. He's a character that I've grown to love. So I don't know who this actor is. Let me look this up. Now that I can do the IMDb page. But yeah, he's like, basically, I know what this stuff is too. And also, this is the kind of thing that Robotnik would be pretty good at dealing with. And I don't remember where we left Robotnik at the end of the last one of these.
He seemed to die. He's in the big robot that Nando insanely thinks he could defeat.
Anyway.
And like it explodes and they're like, oh, did Eggman die? I don't know.
Yeah, but then apparently he's been hiding out in one of his big egg crab thingies, his little egg base underwater, and just like fucking eating burritos and watching telenovelas and just chilling. Good for him,
Wouldn't
man.
you?
Yeah, oh for sure. If I had a burrito robot that could make me squirt little, like guacamole or whatever onto the burrito itself, that'd be terrific. This guy also, so I'm looking at his IMDb page and stuff. I can't see too much that I recognize him from. He seems to do a lot of like video game and voice work. The actor's name is Lee Majoub, Majdoub. And he's been like, he's in things and I'm like, I've kind of seen that. Like he's in one episode of Arrow, but like not as a character I recognize. He's in like an episode of Fringe. But yeah, I don't know what this guy's breakout thing is besides this, which good for him. Oh, he was in
I
Star
think
Wars
it's
Outlaws.
this.
Yeah, and he was I'm betting the main character in Assassin's Creed Mirage, which who I mean people play those because they keep making them. But anyway, yeah, he's the guy. So yeah, Eggman. And honestly, I could be convinced this is how the second one starts too. Is a big slob he has a belly now, and he has lots of hair. So this guy shaves his Eggman, and that's like a little montage of Eggman getting his shit back together. Cute. What do you think of that?
I liked it. Yeah.
Do you think they really shaved his head?
They did, didn't they?
It feels like it. Yeah, I couldn't be sure.
I think I read somewhere that they did because it took him forever to grow it back. But
yeah. In fact, I don't know if it's necessarily those shots they used, but Lee Majub really shaved Jim Carrey's head on camera.
That's
sexy.
Great.
I love it. Yeah. Do you think? Could you do that?
What?
Could you shave Jim Carrey's head? No, be the guy shaving it, man. And like not go like just be so sure you're gonna fuck it up some way.
Yeah, that's
because like I see people do that. Even when what's her name, Natalie Portman did it in the V for Vendetta movie. I'm like, but what if you sneeze and you have to grow your hair again? You fuck the whole thing up. But
well, Nando, I do it every day, so yeah, I think I could do it.
Well, you could, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
you're stronger than us, Diggins.
Maybe they had him practice on a bunch of other guys.
I have no choice, Nando or DJ. I do this, or I look absolutely horrendous. Those are my options.
Like Eggman. And Eggman, I would say in this, he has always been approaching full Eggman, and this is as close as he's ever gotten. The
surf Draculaization of Eggman in these movies is so funny to me.
It really is.
Like the first one, he's just absolutely 0% Eggman visually. And just like at the end of every movie, they inch him that little bit closer every time.
Yeah, they really...
And those were complaints from the first one. It's like, this is an Eggman.
It was an Eggman. That we were right to complain. And even at the end of it, they were like... So you could tell by the end of the first movie, they knew like this guy's going to have an arc and he'll be more Eggman-y as it goes. But like, I could be convinced, kind of like Ugly Sonic, that if the people who originally made the Ugly Sonic design got their way, we would have 3 more movies of that first Eggman just in full, walking around in a white lab coat, doing dances about lattes and not having a mustache or whatever. I don't remember what he looked like, but he didn't look as good as this.
I think he just had like a little curly mustache and not the big paintbrush.
Yeah.
One.
And they got that in this, and they shave it. It's part of the thing. It's great. And he has like a costume now that's like a red, and he had this in the last one, but I don't think he has the first one, like that long red coat, which he also
basically modern Eggman design.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, as good as an Eggman can be until later when he gets an even more Eggman coat. And I'm like, fuck, you're right. That was what an Eggman coat's supposed to look like, isn't it? So that's pretty cool.
So he becomes a full anime character.
Yeah. And yeah, so he's going to be part of the team. This is the thing for, at least for the beginning of this movie, he's going to work with Team Sonic to stop.
Because they're like, guy. Agent Stone's like, those we didn't send those are Eggman drones, but we didn't send them. And when Eggman finds out about it, he's like, what? I got to find out who's pretending to be me because I'm mad about it.
Yeah. And Sonic gives him a little bit of Quill so he can drug up and stuff. It's very good.
Yep. Yeah, get a little bump of Quill.
Something I keep forgetting he does in these.
We're like making jokes. That's like really how it's treated in the movie. Like when Eggman's like, I'll help you on one condition, Sonic's like, you have a problem, man.
Yeah. It's a lot like the bad guy in that first Charlie's Angel movie who wants nothing but Drew Barrymore's hair. And that is a way that eventually they bribe him to be part of it, as they kind of give him some hair and they're like, will you be a friend now? And this transaction totally works for Robotnik. So, great job. Now, I don't know if Robotnik tells them the story of all the shadow stuff after this or what, but we find it out here.
Robotnik doesn't know it.
So why do we learn it then?
Because a shadow character tells Robotnik after they find him.
Mm-hmm. Which one? Oh, you're talking about his other Robotnik.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess we have
we also see a flashback because Shadow is in there sad.
Yeah, because he goes to the original lab and just gets all the Maria stuff. So we still don't have the Robotnik stuff, but we have like Shadow had a little friend when he was in the tube and being a little experiment, and it was a little girl. I don't know, what do you say, maybe 10 ish year old. I can't remember canonically, but you know, and he's like a little kind of child too. At this point, he's like younger, but yeah, he's got like the way that they're like doing play, he's got a child's that attitude, but he doesn't seem to age in the little stasis thingy that much. So he acts like an adult now for some reason.
I'm pretty sure Shadow is like canonically about the same age as Sonic.
Right.
But Sonic has always acted like kind of like a rude, crude, party dude, teen sort of vibe. So it makes sense as being like, well, yeah, Sonic's supposed to be kind of young. But Shadow has always been like very grim, serious Keanu Reeves kind of man. So it's never really quite followed that he's like a child.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, it's strange. But yeah, he had a nice relationship with Maria, the little girl. And she like drew a little face on his tube. What was that supposed to be? Something? So like a Sonic character?
He's a little bunny. Man.
Right. Oh, I guess it's kind of like
rabbit.
it's like the bunnies in like the Sonic levels where they're like little guys that jump around.
I guess.
Kind of.
Sure.
Yeah. And she's and they like have little picnics and what is it called? Like they have a little tent and they have a little camping stuff.
Little sleepovers.
There's the word.
Records. Yeah. They watch a movie where the monster in it is the bio lizard.
So, okay. That was one of my questions here. That was what that was? Okay.
That was a little reference to the bio lizard.
Totally missed that. And it's kind of a bummer because honestly I was hoping we would get some bio lizard in the future.
I was also like, oh man, is there going to be a bio lizard?
Yeah. Interesting. Especially because it started in Japan. Part of me was like, are they setting up a Godzilla arc for this movie later in the game? Also, I mean,
for those who have no idea what we're talking about, by the way, Bio Lizard is a big lizard monster who is the true final boss of Sonic Adventure 2. It comes pretty much completely out of nowhere, and is just like, I have no idea. Like, I don't think I could explain to you why there's a Bio Lizard.
Well, like,
it's just erupt out of the space station.
Well, yeah, it's just also a thing Gerald Robotnik made that turns out to be like also wants the space station to kill everybody for some reason.
In that game, the space station has like fucking Mayan ruins in it and stuff. It's a whole big thing. And every so often you get a villain who's like a ghost or a mummy or something. So there's a lot more going on in that game to make it as long as a game instead of a movie.
Well, now the ghost, Nando, is in the Egyptian pyramid that they launch a spaceship from.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. But yeah, and they kind of did that in the last one, right? There was like a pyramid in the Knuckles one.
Sort of. Yeah, there was like a ruin, like an echidnan ruin,
right,
that they go to or something.
Where was I going with this? But yeah, the bio lizard, for people that don't know, kind of looks like if you took the shell off a turtle and stretch its neck really, really long. I'm betting there's a real animal that this is like, maybe like a Gila monster or something like that. But
yeah, like a Komodo dragon or a Gila monster, something like that.
Yeah, and it is like the size of a building, has some lasers and some dots. You got to avoid the lasers and not hit the dots and hit it in its big tumor or something a couple of times in space. And then you're able to beat the bio lizard. But yeah, and the bio lizard is an alien in the thing, and Shadow is like, prejudice. That's not good.
People don't like aliens.
People don't like aliens.
No.
Do people not like me also because I am an alien?
Yeah. And yeah, Shadow is, I guess this is because Shadow's at the old base and he's looking at the old glass that's broken and remembering Maria.
Yes.
So we don't know what happened to Maria, but we're like, there was clearly
something.
Yeah. Bad thing happened. And we'll talk about it, but this movie, it's the coward's way out.
I disagree, Nando. I disagree, DJ. They actually went way, way harder than I was honestly expecting.
You think so?
Same. Yeah.
All right.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
As much as I would like to see the bullet just ripping through, I'm like, I don't think we're going to get that one.
Yeah, listen, I didn't think she was going to get shot on screen.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it, but we got a lot closer to a little girl getting shot on screen than I thought they'd do.
Yeah. and it's good. And this is where we meet Double Robotnik or whatever. Well, no, wait.
Gerald
Robotnik.
Our
Ivo
Robotnik
is
is Ivo Robotnik.
Yeah. So Gerald Robotnik is also living at this thing or something, and I guess Team Sonic has tracked him here, but Shadow's just like, this is where I can go to like find all my past. And Gerald Robotnik is Jim Carrey, but like bigger nose and kind of older and same otherwise pretty much. White coat on instead of red.
And his mustache is gray.
Right, yeah, and his mustache is gray. And he's basically like, hey, Robotnik, I'm your dad, or I'm your grandfather, and yeah, we're family. And Robotnik, we will learn, but his whole thing is like he wanted a family, never had a family, and now he has one. So he teams up with his dad or his grandpa for that reason. He turns on the Sonic crew immediately, which is fun. And this little guy whose name's Stone goes with him, but you can tell this is going to be a problem. There's going to be a rift created in the situation. What did you think of the two Robotniks in this movie?
What, the fact that Jim Carrey played both of them and they made that joke inside the movie, which was
I wouldn't even say they made the joke. I think they just said it. They were just
right, they just said it. They just said it. I didn't hate it. I don't know. Did it add anything outside of that one dance scene? I mean, it's a gag, right? It's a gag. It's a gag that didn't not work.
I think it worked pretty well, honestly. Like by the end of the movie, when they have scenes together, they really do feel like two people having a conversation and not just like a gimmick where Jim Carrey is doing both parts.
Yeah.
Like, Jim Carrey is, a deft comic actor, and like at first it's all just like jokes, like, oh, we're the same, blah, blah, blah. But like when it counts for the movie, like he plays them in different ways where you feel like it's just two different characters. And I think that's cool. I think it's good I think it is cool that he's able to do that and that the effect looks good enough that I'm not constantly like, well, you're not on the set together, obviously.
Yeah, the effect looks great. I remember really early on, there's one point where Elder Robotnik, like, I wouldn't say tussles the hair of younger Robotnik, but just pretty much palms his head and kind of shakes it a little bit. And I was like, that looks good. That looks like another, and it was, I'm sure a person did that, but the compositing and all that, very, very solid. And they have a line that is what we were alluding to where he says, you look just like me. It's almost like, and they say it at the same time, where one
look into the camera while
they look into the camera. Yeah. We're two characters in the movie being played by the same actor. And it's like,
ha 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 ha.
I wish they didn't do it just because I feel like there would be kids that would be going home going, so is that like Jim Carrey's grandpa or something? Like, but now I feel like they all know. But
also a casual reveal here that I think is insane is Gerald Robotnik is like not bad for 110 years old, and then snorts a little shadow quill. Right. And I'm like, wait, so those make people immortal?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, because it's the only way for the math to work out because, and so many questions, right? Because Maria, I don't know if this full lore is ever explained, but like Maria and Ivo Robotnik are at minimum cousins, right? I don't know if they're like brother.
Well, at minimum they'd be siblings, but they are cousins, I believe.
Yeah.
No, at minimum they'd be cousins, but at maximum they'd be siblings.
Right.
No, maximum distance versus maximum closeness. Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. You're right. Fair. Anyway, so so they're cousins, but like how what's their age relation? You know, how old are the parents? Right? Like it's just 110 is like, because the thing happened 50 years ago, so I guess he was 60 when it happened. So
yeah.
Well, how old is Jim Carrey right now?
I'd say he's probably about 60.
Yeah.
So that would put him about the same age as Maria. So like that's Maria.
Sorry,
Maria. So yeah, in terms of the math with him, that actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah. That feels right. He what was I gonna say? I mean, you could maybe explain why Robotnik survived the last movie is just he has already been exposed to so much quill that he cannot be killed.
Yeah, that he's good. He's good to go.
Unless killed by a hedgehog specifically. And like by chaos energy specifically, which I guess he was killed by Sonic using chaos energy last time, but mostly just tipped over the robot versus maybe something different here, which will, perhaps maybe something like that will happen. Who knows?
But maybe that didn't do something. Who can say?
Yeah, honestly, they could go either way with it. I mean, Jim Carrey famously, after the last movie, quit acting. And then famously came back for this one for the reason that I love. And either of you guys want to say it?
Well, I think I read this, but
I think I also know it. So why don't you say, and I can tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah, this will be fun. Didn't like that he's like, I'll only do it, like, not like I'll do it for money, but he's like, I'll only do it if they send me like a script that's written in gold. And they like did it, like they sent him a script that was like written in gold or something.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, they sent him the script on paper made out of 24 karat gold. And he's like, well, they did it.
I guess I have to do it now. Well, now, but like once that happens, you're like, oh my God, I could request anything.
He could.
So like now I'll only do it if they give me a G7 jet. And they're like, well, I guess we have to give him
Talking about a G5
jet.
airplane. It's my favorite. Tropic Thunder. Everybody loves it. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, I would say like, Keanu Reeves is a draw. Ben Schwartz is obviously a draw for like me and like for people that are, comedy nerds and stuff. But I do feel like for selling this movie to parents and like getting other people excited about this movie, Jim Carrey is like a big deal for some people. And like, I do think he's worth however many golden pages they gave him. If they want to get him back at a future one, especially, well, we'll get to it, but if they do something creative, which we'll talk about, but, and I don't think he was phoning it in here. He has like the different voice. Like I was kind of doing the Robotnik is like young Robotnik is like this, and older Robotnik is like this. And they have like a little bit where they celebrate all the holidays together and stuff, which is cute. Which I remember seeing in the trailer going, why are they having fucking Christmas? But now I understand.
They do oh my God, what is
they do Deadpool, right? Or
well, they did.
What are you thinking of?
I can't remember. But isn't this a thing where like a couple like imagines their life together like through some kind of like VR experience?
I mean, VR experience like Rick and Morty or something kind of.
Maybe.
But Deadpool 1 has a sex throughout the holidays. Like it's like we had a year of sex, and they do it by always having sex in a different costume, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know, Diggins, do you have another reference point for this one? I can't think of
anything. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like I do kind of, now that DJ's talking about it, I'm like, there is something like that. Where they like go through their whole life together in VR because one of them's dying or something. But I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I remember that too now. Because it's like, one of them's dying and one of them comes to the hospital with the big headset.
Oh, guys, Ready Player One. That's totally.
Yeah, right.
I know. It's
what? No, people. I'm sure there's people screaming at their phones and stuff now. But let us know. Whoever lets us know first is the best. But we are in the past. Yes, we can hear it.
It will not travel back in time to tell us.
Yeah, although if you give it to a certain hedgehog who can travel back in time, he can tell us.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so they. So anyway, do Robotniks. He turns on the hedgehogs. Robotnik has a plan, which involves something called, and I believe he explains it to other Robotnik at this point, the Eclipse Cannon, which is a big satellite cannon thingy that they're going to use to do something. I cannot remember what old Robotnik tells young Robotnik they're going to do, but it doesn't seem like he lies to him. I think he just says, use it or something. Oh,
Gerald
he does? Okay.
Is like, we're going to blow up gun headquarters so they're out of the way and we can take over the world.
Okay. Yeah, I could not remember this. Well, but the reveal was one of those casual, like, whoops, I said to destroy. Oh, no, I guess the reveal comes from Shadow. I guess he didn't tell Shadow not to say destroy the world to, or like destroy the world instead of take over the world for the guy to Stone. Yeah. But yeah, so
Stone
now
likes the world. He's like, well, I don't want the world to be destroyed.
Where Robotnik lives. Yeah. Needs that.
Stone. We also get a scene where Stone tries to come into the VR to like give them coffee, but they're they're happy together and in love, and so he dejectedly leaves the VR because Robotnik doesn't love him the way he loves his pop.
And he throws the coffee away in the VR and in real life, which is very, very wasteful.
By the way, I think the thing I was thinking of was the San Junipero episode of Black Mirror. That's
so like San Junipero is kind of like that.
Yeah, it's not exactly. Yeah.
I'm thinking of one where I like what you're saying, a character, because San Junipero, they have like little dots that you extract brain out. I'm thinking of a character handing VR goggles to a dying character,
right?
And then it's something. But anyway, I think this is a Rick and Morty thing though, but I don't remember where. Because there's the Rick and Morty's where he lives the whole life of the game character and whatever. But I feel like there's a different Rick and Morty maybe where they do this. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
The spaghetti episode. You see the whole guy's life and they broadcast it.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I have
or
to watch
the two Beths where they fall in love. That could be the other one you're thinking of.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's what we're getting a little bit of in here. Maybe it is the two Beths one. Yeah. Or maybe it's.
You wanted to see the Robotniks make Sweet Sweet Love. I get it.
I mean, we kind of do.
You know, wait for it.
Grandpa and grandson, Nando. That's disgusting.
I want to see it.
Never suggest such a thing.
I mean, you want to see one of them get pregnant because you're one of the Sonic fans.
They had good chemistry. God. I liked this Christmas thing too because I thought that gag. I think it's funnier in the movie than it is in the trailer. But when he sees him and is like Santa, and then older Robotnik turns around and is like shh or whatever, Jim Carrey does this horrible scream and then just plows into Jim Carrey too and knocks the whole tree over, and it was pretty funny. Again, Jim Carrey just a solid comedic performer. So yeah, the Eggman team steals the chip from the Sonic team because they capture him, and then the Sonic team is like, we don't have the chip, and then they get it and they're like, we did have the chip, and then they throw him into a black hole or something, which luckily Sonic is able to use one of their little Doctor Strange rings, but perhaps the last one, or is the last one later? I can't remember.
The last one's at the end of the movie.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. So then they use that to teleport, because they're all tied up, to the Green Hill town or whatever, where Tom and Maddie are living quiet life away from Sonic and Shadow, which they've been doing for all of, I'm guessing, an hour. Like, how long does this movie take place?
I was gonna say there's the time it takes to fly to Japan, but they use a ring. They teleport.
Yeah, they teleport via the helicopter. Like, they drive the helicopter through a ring, which is pretty cool.
Which then I think they do again with Robotnik to get to the base. So yeah, it's been like a couple hours.
Yeah, so I guess like they, took up all these hobbies because they had so much to do. I don't know. This is something that the scripts didn't remember as they wrote it. I like
the little like hodgepodge. It was like sourdough bread, puppetry,
like puzzles and stuff,
embroidery. Yeah, like all like needlepoint crochet, like all that stuff. So.
Yeah,
it was good.
He has a big sweater on that says Donut Lord and has little donuts.
We're still doing the Donut Lord joke because like it's if for some reason you just came into Sonic 3, you'll be like, I wonder what Donut Lord is, right? You just that one's for the OG fans.
That's for the real fans.
Yeah.
Well, it's for the real fans, and even it's like it's dumb, but it's dumb where like it happens and you're like, I guess it's like you would see it and go, why is this guy even in the movie? I think you could convince someone who's never played a Sonic game that Donut Lord is part of it, and like maybe it's not a guy, maybe it's a donut, but like what did that's how they translate it, and he's Donut Lord, and like I don't know, he fits in better in the team when he has a stupid name. But you know what? They're doing all their little hobbies and they're loving it because they have all the time to themselves to do ventriloquism and shit. But then Sonic Team comes in, knocks all their stuff over because they're a bunch of little rascals. And they're like, you gotta come help us, Tom and Maddie. And Tom and Maddie are like, fuck yeah, good. I hated all these hobbies we were both doing, lying to each other and ourselves. And they have a plan. They have to break into G.U.N headquarters, which is in London, for some reason. And they have to steal
the Guardian Union of Nations.
Oh, sure. No. It makes sense why it's not in America.
But it should be in like Brussels, where the like the EU is or something. Or in New York, where the UN is.
That or one of these fucking scenes should take place in San Francisco. And I was like, that's obviously where you put this, because why are we going there otherwise? And yes, the first movie takes place, they're going to the West Coast, but it's not the same thing. And yeah,
that's not a single truck chases him when he's in San Francisco.
No trucks, no skateboard or what is it? Snowboards made out of pieces of a helicopter or anything. And again, in that movie, he's running from Gun, or in that game, he's running from Gun. So it would make perfect sense that to escape Gun, they have to escape the city. But whatever.
He does say when they jump out of the Gun helicopter, like, no snacks, no in-flight movie. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
which is what the first thing he says in Sonic Adventure 2.
That's right, and that is pretty cool. But yeah, I do think the thing with this game, that is like easily the most iconic part of this game, even though it is not a bad reflection of the game, but like we're saying, like 50% of the game takes place at the space station, and like all that stuff is way more important. But it is just a really good, memorable level of a game. But anyway, yeah, it's in England, so they can all stand on shit.
Escape plays everyone's favorite song.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like back in the day, that was the mark of a good game, was if you got to do shit in San Francisco, because obviously Crazy Taxi, while not maybe taking place in the actual San Francisco, had that vibe. And then it's one of the Grand Theft Autos. I guess maybe the Grand Theft Auto wasn't there originally. We know, because San Andreas was kind of that. But I don't know. It's just a fun city to drive around in because it's got verticality that very few other cities offer. So it's very fun.
And a very bad city to walk around in for that same reason.
Yeah. Seems like an awful place to live. But and it's got trolleys. It's just so much iconic stuff. It's got, is that where Alcatraz is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got Alcatraz. It's great. Yeah, because this could be on Alcatraz or something. They always do that and shit like this. Alcatraz gets converted into a something. Anyway, the gun headquarters is in London. So Sonic Team has to get the card before Robotnik Team gets in and gets it.
And I'm like, why do you need to do that?
Yeah. I'm like, blow up the thing. Just blow up Gun. And then we'll be good. As long as that ship, it gets destroyed somehow.
Or fine. Just let the incredible, like the huge security, like just tell Gun, like, by the way, Robotnik's trying to steal this. So like, tighten up security or something.
Or the best option, do nothing.
Yep.
Do nothing.
Well,
if they do nothing, everything's probably fine.
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like how does the other team gets in on their own, right? Like they, in fact, are more prepared for this than Sonic. But then when they get into the actual room, everything's fucked.
Yeah, the Robotniks get to the room on their own. The Sonic team does not do anything to help them succeed in that part. However, after they get in the room, it seems like they would have failed without Sonic Team.
Absolutely. That's true. So they have to get into the gun building, and the gun building has a big force field around it or something. They do
sometimes.
They do the Ocean's 11 thing where they go through all the heist parts that are hard. And I like those scenes usually, and I don't mind it here. But I do think that the heist is kind of, I don't know, it's weird. Because Robotnik's able to get through it pretty easily, and Sonic's able to get through it pretty easily, but there's no... Yeah, like we're saying, the force field isn't consistent enough that it's like, oh, that's how they got through the force field. It's just like they tried really hard and almost didn't make it, but it's like, why was that even an option?
Yeah, like at some point it's like Sonic's like, oh, I gotta get through it. It's like they're closing it now, and it's like, you had time. You could have done this much sooner. So it was open
until now, like the force field wasn't up, so Sonic's so fast, why would we assume that the force field would be up? He could just zoom through while it's down.
Well, I guess I can't remember if this is true or not. The way he was able to get through the force field was that Tom and Maddie took the force field offline for a second via the Tails thing, right? Or something?
No, that was the original plan, but it ends up going differently. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. So they do the whole plan, and it's like I said, it's one of those scenes where they're like, and you wouldn't believe how hard the vault is to get into, and even if we get through that, then we've got to deal with the laser field or whatever. So they have to go to England to do this. Shadow and Team Eggman are also doing this, and they're having like a lot of fun. We don't really know what their plan is, but we know they've got one. And this is the first time I think we see a little bit of like dissension in the rank. I guess outside of the latte incident, a little bit more dissension in the ranks between Stone and everybody else is that just he doesn't get any love from Robotnik. He doesn't get to do the missions anymore. But anyway, the plan is, has Tails invented these? I can't remember where these come from, but we have like fucking hologram face chips or something.
Yeah, Tails invented them.
Okay.
Better than the face mesh that we see in the MCU.
Yep, better than that. Better than any of these ever.
Except the Mission Impossible rubber masks.
Oh, these don't break. Do they break? These are so good you can even just pick up a face on the fly that you didn't expect to even have. You just kind of imagine a different face and then pick that one.
We need a new face.
But yeah,
but
because
in terms of convincingness, they're not
right,
better
yeah.
than those, because those are
no, nothing's better than that. Yeah, the this scene is the little scene where we're gonna see her sister and her boyfriend, her husband now, because they are gun agents, so she's going to masquerade as her sister.
Apparently, the sister from Sonic 2 is now a gun agent. We assume.
I assume that makes sense to me because the husband was a gun agent and she beat up all the gun agents at the wedding with her amazing bride skills, kind of fueled by bride rage. So I assume after that, Gun threw her an application.
Yeah, they recruited her, right? Yeah.
Especially by being close to the hedgehogs, that immediately makes her quite valuable, even though she doesn't seem to like them or hang out with them at all.
Right, but she can always, hit up Maddie for those.
Right.
For the hot goss.
Now, you kind of assume what's going to happen in this scene is they're actually going to be at the gun headquarters or something, but they're not. They're just, I don't know, on vacation or something. Do we know what the explanation for why they're not here is?
There's no explanation for why they're not there. They're just like, we're going to pretend to be them to get into gun headquarters. And then, in fact, if you didn't know who these characters were, you might be deeply confused as to what all of this even is supposed to be.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I guess it makes sense with Maddie because Maddie has a sister. And I guess you could say, if you didn't know who these guys were, that the scene would just be, we need to pick two other people to be, because they're on the lookout for us. They know who Team Sonic is. We need to be other people. And you would take two guys, beat them up, put them in a broom closet, and then transform into them. But they didn't do that, so it wouldn't make any sense.
Fortunately, it turns out Gun has incredibly awful OPSEC.
Well, that and that whole being yelled at by somebody, it really can supersede every single level of security if you're getting yelled at,
just
and
thrashed.
Yeah, it's like, whatever, dude, I don't care. Robotnik could have done it and it would have been fine. Probably.
Yeah, because if you were in that situation, you wouldn't have folded. Be like, all right, just go. I don't have the time or just care to deal with this.
I have been in situations like this, DJ, and I'll tell you what I would do.
Yeah,
I would cry, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't look cool or heroic or impressive, but I wouldn't do
it. Well, we need you at Gun then, or Gun needs you.
Yeah,
Gun's
seriously,
exploded or whatever, probably. So. Probably not going to see a ton of them in the future, but they managed to power their way through. Also, I haven't mentioned this. James Marsden, famously, and I would say, and I say this on a lot of podcasts, one of our whitest actors, plays the husband, and they don't make a full joke about it, but I feel like there's a little bit of a joke there to be made. But
where,
you know what?
He starts to say stuff, and his wife's like, "You can't do that."
There would need to be a voice or something like the thing, because I would imagine this thing also copies voices for them, which the sister wouldn't need because she's a sister. They sound pretty similar. And with James Marsden would speak, and we're like, "You're not doing the voice. No. Your character is silent for this. Yeah,
you can't be doing that, white baby."
Exactly. Yeah. And there would even be one bit later in the thing where if you had Jessica Jones or something later where they met her, they would give it away because the husband would say "Alrighty then" or something in James Marsden voice, and you'd be like, they know this is the one thing he's never said in his whole life. But yeah, Jessica Jones is around for this because obviously security is tight because of all the shadow bullshit. But their plan is because of these face changing things, they're going to go downstairs into the server room, face change into her, Jessica Jones, use that to bypass security, and then go in there and upload a drive to open up something or whatever.
Here's a part where I question part of this plan. So their plan is to pretend to be these two low-level grunts, her sister and her sister's, I guess they did get married, husband.
Yeah.
To get into the building. And then once they're in the building and at the thing they need to go in, to then pretend to be Director Rockwell to get into the room. And I'm like, why didn't you do that to begin with?
Yeah,
because the whole problem is they're like, well, you guys don't have the clearance to be in this building right now because we're locked down. And you know who probably does have the clearance to be in the building? Director Rockwell.
Yeah. But Director Rockwell wasn't in any of the previous movies, so it wouldn't be as fun. I did like seeing the husband and see, this is where a lot of these characters, like I said, came full circle for me. I always psyched to see the sister again for a little bit. So the fan serviciness of it, which doesn't seem like it would work, kind of worked. What was I going to say? But yeah, so that's their plan, is do all that shit. Now, when they get there, it turns out they put the Tails USB drive in the thing. It turns out there's also an Eggman USB drive that's also been put in the thing.
Who'd believe it? Who would have believed it?
What we learn is the Eggman guys use like magic camouflage technology, similar enough but different from this. But like, then they just did it, but they haven't gotten the chip yet. But why not?
They had put on 2 skin tight leather suits or whatever, latex suits,
right?
That our Eggman Ivo had invented, which perfectly camouflages every part of their body except their heads. But fortunately, there's portraits they can stand in front of that when the camera is looking dead on, it looks like their heads could be the portrait. But if you look at from any other angle, are obviously heads floating in midair. But fortunately, like I said, gun agents are really stupid, so that none of them noticed that. I
mean,
as for why they haven't gotten the chip yet, they just haven't, they're not super fast Sonic. They're slow. They haven't gotten there yet.
But why do they even have to do this step? They're not going to take down the dome. They're already inside the dome, and they don't have to do the laser field. They don't shut it down. They have another plan for that. So why did they do this at all?
I think what this ends up doing is just counteracting Tails hacking, because when they realize it's in there, they're like, oh no, and Tails can't hack the force field and it starts to close. So I think that was just them being one step ahead of Team Sonic.
Okay, that makes sense then. So for that reason, like we said, the force field is closing. So Sonic has to do a maneuver that, if this were in San Francisco, would be him running down the street at high speed and then jumping.
You won't let this go, will you? You will not let this go.
That's just where it would go. Yeah. And he manages to do a sweet jump, almost gets incinerated by the laser beams, but then Tails helps him do an even sweeter jump and he survives. Knuckles, by the way, is the kind of backup security, in case of, emergency break glass option, and just kind of sitting around like Batman on a big Ben. So Sonic goes in here, and the Eggmans have these magical suits, skin tight suits that beat the laser beams, because the laser beams are attracted to their butts, and that leaves them free to do a little dance together.
This is the dance scene for this movie, which better than the past movies, I would say, in my opinion.
Fortunately for them, not a single laser beam aims at their heads, which are still completely exposed, not covered by the reflective latex at all.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. You even see some too. It's like, oh, they're probably hitting dome there.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it doesn't really make any sense, does it? But
that's okay. That's okay for this movie, guys. It's totally okay.
Also, this dance, not unsexual. They do the thing from Dirty Dancing, a movie called Dirty Dancing. I think these guys are fucking.
They do the whirly bird.
They do the whirly bird,
Yeah.
exactly. There's not more sexual dance on earth.
No, they do something like the whirly bird, but it looks better and cooler, actually.
Legally distinct from the whirlybird.
I do think that is just the end of Dirty Dancing, the Dirty Dancing dance after the lift, right? Is that weird? Yeah. Is that not in there? I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, also, where he holds them up above his head and they spin. Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah. Sonic goes through all of London, by the way, including, even though we know where he was perched and we know where Gun headquarters is because it's quite near the London Eye, I think, or it's on the river. He manages to go to Liverpool or something. To take pictures with the Beatles. He doesn't go all the way
to Liverpool. He goes.
Does he not go there?
Well, the Beatles thing isn't in Liverpool. That's in London.
That's Abbey Road, which is
Abbey
in
Road.
Yeah.
I
went there with my sister.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And he goes into Buckingham Palace or something too. Steals some shit from the Queen. Way to go! Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah. Good move.
Yeah. Should have taken more. And and he goes through the thing. But then we find the room with the card in it. Now it is holding precisely one card, and it has a bunch of little hexagon squares on the floor. Mm-hmm. I could not remember. Is this from the game or something? Okay. It's a very video gamey thing.
Yes, it feels like it's from a video game.
There is like sections of the space station levels in that game that like mess with gravity, but they don't look exactly like this.
That makes sense. And what they have in this, and what Kristen Ritter will reveal, is a technology that allows you to control the floor squares or hexagons, so they either turn red and become immense gravity, or turn green and become no gravity. Which, for like, they use the red on the Eggmans to make them just like flush with the floor and can't move, although they can, but whatever. And then Sonic just floats in midair, which is bad for Sonic because he needs to make contact with the ground. I mean, he doesn't, but whatever. Especially because, like, I feel like we have a flying fox guy, right? Like, let's have him do it or something. But I guess then he gets magnetized to the floor. But like, did they build this room to stop Sonic specifically? Because this anti-gravity thing wouldn't matter to anybody else.
Yeah, they don't think Sonic's a bad guy, right? Like,
I think think it's shown against the Eggman that the gravity thing is pretty effective against regular people also.
Yeah, but why isn't it not just a gravity room? Why have the anti-gravity at all? Is it because they fear Shadow will return, I guess? Because he would return.
Well, you invent the gravity strengthening technology, and then you can just reverse that and create the gravity weakening technology. And it just feels like, military organizations are so massively overfunded that like a lot of useless boondoggles get tacked on to the technology that they develop just because they have the money and they feel like they should spend it. Mm-hmm. So this was actually originally supposed to just be like a key card to stop someone from going in the room, and it ended up being this whole like gravity hexagons business because they just got so much money.
There's like a factory town in Ohio that makes the green gravity hexagons, and the senator won't let them close it because it's so important or whatever.
So they just make all these green hexagons that then get shipped like directly to the landfill because nobody's actually using them.
Right. Everybody in G.U.N is like, please don't send us more green hexagons. But like, J.D. Vance and friends are like, no, we need the green hexagons. Otherwise we'll all have hillbilly allergies. So they don't do it. And we're going to get them forever. And that's why in America, healthcare costs bazillions of dollars instead of free. Anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog and team get magnetized to the floor or flown around or whatever. And by team, I mean Tom and Maddie are still involved in this. And Jessica Jones finds them and like turns the floor on. But then they do the emergency break glass option, which, and we've been told this is how the force field works before, will atomize you if you touch it. And that's why Sonic really has to get through, like thread the needle. Otherwise he will explode. Knuckles is able to just fly through the whole thing, and it breaks up like it's made of glass. And I was quite confused. Then do that instead of this other stuff. We can't get through the thing. Oh, well, we can if we have Knuckles just do it. Why even bother with any of this shit? But
also, at this point, why bother with this? Because in my mind, I'm like, all right, so G.U.N has captured the Eggman.
Yeah.
Like, that seems good for your goals.
Mhm.
Eggman arrested? Cool. Like,
Yeah.
problem solved.
Having to steal the key card from Gun is weird. Like they have no reason that it's a shield situation. Like, guys, Gun is actually bad. They're gonna do something. I don't know. They're gonna.
Yeah, it feels
Right.
It feels like the movie puts way too much weight on when Commander Walters maybe dies. It's not clear.
Mhm.
He gives them the
Yeah.
key card and is like, I can't trust anyone with this besides you, Sonic. And it feels like we're supposed to take that as like, oh, so Gun can't be trusted.
Right.
You can't like let them do anything. And I don't think the movie justifies that.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
agree.
Kristen Ritter was trying as hard as she could to turn on the Eclipse cannon, if only for having the second card she would have, and then used it to vaporize.
Right. Like that's the way
you
to
know,
fix this. To be
somewhere.
like, Gun also wants to turn on the Eclipse cannon now.
Right.
Be like, this Shadow threat is too much. We've got to blow up part of the worlds to stop Shadow. And Sonic being like, well, that's an insane thing, a person said. So we got to stop
Right.
them too.
Well, that, or we need to use your stupid rings and the Eclipse cannon to blow up the planet you're originally from, because we can't have any more of these hedgehogs showing up or
yeah.
whatever. And then it's like, wow, we really need to get this in, because, I mean, nobody's alive there anymore. I guess there's some echidnas, maybe. We find out in the Knuckles show that a lot of the echidnas are dead, but they can astral project or something at one point. So I don't know. But
You're the only person on Earth who's watched the Knuckles shows,
Yeah.
Nando, so
I
mean,
we're relying
listen.
on you to tell us.
the crowd at my theater had definitely all seen the Knuckles show, because they were thrilled when a certain character finally made his epic appearance. It was the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man character all rolled into one. And I was right there with them. But anyway, so Knuckles comes in and that fucks up the whole floor. So that like now it's just doing whatever. You know, the way you would do this is you would just have Shadow come in, because Shadow A is like pretty sick, and B can beat the floor by teleporting. Like he can teleport 2 green squares from red squares and then immediately just, you know, find a safe path to get the card. And it's like, well, we got to beat him to the card. But Knuckles isn't there for this. He will show up later in this to to karate kick Tom into the end of the movie, but he won't like, he's not here because he's hanging out in the like egg basement thing for
with Agent Stone.
Agent Stone.
Which Tails at this point has flushed into the sewers of London.
Right, yeah.
And also here we see the canonization of Shadow's love of Latinas.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 incredible lines in this scene. And I do think a lot of this does come from, because I don't remember, like we got a lot of lattes. That's obviously all Eggman cared about in the first movie.
Yep.
We see him in this movie. He turned out he got fat by eating a bazillion burritos. Was that a thing in the second one at all? Did he have like a fondness for burritos then?
I don't think so. He was still pretty svelte in Sonic 2.
Yeah. So in this one, he's like, because he's eating the burritos, he's made the little eggs do the sauce for him. Then in this intro, to like right as this is starting, the Eggmen are going to go do their big dance heist, whatever. Agent Stone is like, all right, well, me and Shadow will just hang out. I haven't really spent too much time with Shadow. And do you guys remember what he says to Shadow? What he offers Shadow?
We can make some guac.
Yeah, we got fresh avocados. And then what does Shadow say to that?
I don't remember.
Easily the best line of the movie.
I don't remember either. You're gonna have to tell us.
So the exchange is like, yeah, we got fresh avocados. We'll make some guac. And a second of silence, and then Shadow says, "Revenge guac." And I died. And it was really good. And actually, that might not be my favorite line movie, because my favorite line movie maybe comes in the next scene, where they're watching the telenovela starring Johnny Football from Ted Lasso and from Venom, very, very famously. The bartender in Venom is one of the guys that the telenovela actors pining between or whatever. And do you remember what Shadow says to this when he's watching the telenovela?
Oh, well, he says, whatever her name is not a prize. She should kill them both. She's not a prize to be won.
I love that.
I like that
So
more
both
than Revenge
guys.
Guac.
Because
I
Shadow is woke.
Yeah. Well, I guess that line caught me. That line I was like I saw it coming. Or at least I saw more violence. Shadow would have more violence and more revenge. Revenge Guac just caught me completely off guard. And I think that's why I liked it more. But yeah, and this is where I think, I don't remember exactly how this one comes up, but I feel like it's like, I was talking about this on Twitter. a while ago, back when I was using Twitter, the moment where
You mean
in the
Lex,
Dark Avengers.
the everything app.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The so I was entering my banking details and information, like we all do. The bit in Dark Avengers where Moonstone sleeps with Marvel Boy and is like, "It's cool that we're all villains, right?" And he's like, "Wait, what?" And then he just leaves. We had one of those where Shadow's like, "It's great that Dr. Eggman is going to destroy the world," and then Stone is like, "I didn't know we were going to do that."
I didn't
And
sign
then
up
he
for this,
switches
bro.
sides. Yeah, so now he's a good guy, and he quits to Robotnik, but doesn't tell him this.
He does not quit.
Oh, doesn't he? I thought he
No.
quits.
No.
Oh.
What happens is after all of this, he calls Robotnik and is like, "Hey, I think
man.
Shadow said something that makes me think him and your grandpa are planning something other than what we thought." And then Robotnik gets mad at him and fires him because he's like, "How dare you bad mouth my pop."
Yeah, I guess it's a weird moment for me because it means that we're going to do this bit with Shadow again, where a character's going to be like, "And then we'll destroy the world." And then Eggman's like, "Wait, you're going to destroy the world?" And I'm like, when I was watching that in the movie, I was like, I just assumed Agent Stone said that over the, call to Eggman in that moment.
He did.
But I guess
we
he
saw
didn't.
it on screen.
Did he say like destroy the world, or was he just like, I think he's got other plans?
I think it's more that because Eggman
Yeah.
gets him off, but he does try to tell him.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, okay, so then Tom, very smartly, while this is going on, and like I said, Knuckles breaks the floor, everybody's floating around. Even though the gravity is super high, both Kristen Ritter and one of the Robotniks, probably Ivo, are able to kind of worm their way through by pushing up their hips and then moving closer to the key card. I don't know why this works.
A great physical comedy moment by Jim Carrey. I'm so glad that he's still doing it, and not bad by Kristen Ritter either.
Yeah, I think she was funny in it. But they were able to get the card or something. I don't remember why. I think the power goes off in the room right before they do, and Tom manages to snatch it. No. Kristen Ritter gets it, runs out of the room. Then Tom gets the bright idea to pretend to be the general and then be like, "You have to give me the card because of general rules." And she's like, "Well, I guess I have to listen to them." Yep.
You got me.
And
doesn't ask any questions or well, he was in a sling. So I was like, "Oh, well, he's in a sling. He must be."
Where did he get that?
Yeah,
maybe it's also part of the hologram.
No, I think
don't know
he's
how
still
much
wearing it though.
I think they're wearing the clothes though, right? Or is he wearing a? Yeah, I don't know. Is he dressed in general clothes when he gets karate kicked, or is he dressed in the outfit they were wearing earlier?
They're all the gun uniforms appear to not differentiate between ranks, so he's wearing a gun uniform.
Yeah, so I don't know where he got that sling, but good for him. And yeah, so he gets it, and he's like, yes. But then Shadow teleports in, and Shadow sees him and is like, "That guy that I hate," which is like, way to go, Shadow. I would never have recognized this guy from 50 years ago, but I guess he hears the name too, and
the trauma burn, right? You don't think the trauma burn would get you?
I know. I'd just be like, that doesn't look like that guy, does it? But he buys it. Like, I don't know. And he hates this guy so much that he sees him and, like I said, does a karate kick, or karate punch or whatever, right down this guy's like tummy, and falls to the floor, drops the card. Shadow takes the card. Sonic shows up, knowing that this was Tom the whole time, or maybe Tom's mask comes off or whatever, and he cries because, and as everything we should know has told us so far, Tom is now dead. He got punched by Shadow the Hedgehog at full shadow punching speed in slow motion. Sonic is like crying over him, and this is a really important moment that is gonna not waking up. Yeah, no motion whatsoever.
We're not checking his pulse, right? We're not.
Nope.
Is he breathing? None of that. We're just he's dead, I guess.
And Sonic is mad, so Sonic has already decided that like Shadow killed Tom. But yeah, no, he's gonna be okay. I mean, we do see them loading him into an ambulance later with like a stretcher and not a body bag, but still.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they put that corpse on the stretcher.
I feel like there were a couple of different versions of this scene that were shot, and we got the one where Tom isn't ripped in half, which is, very nice.
Was there any chance that like they go to James like, James, I'm sorry, but this is it, man. You had a good run, but we have to kill you in this movie.
I could see it. I could see them killing him and then doing it and testing it, and then kids hate it, and then like, all right, I'll bring it back.
Yeah. How many kids are like sobbing like, no?
Yeah.
What happened?
Because, I mean, they're already going to do a very dramatic death later, but who gives a shit about, another character versus Donut Lord from Jury Duty and stuff. We all love him. Excuse me. So then he's dead. Not really, but like, yeah. And Sonic is like, you did this to him. I'm a bad guy now. And Shadow is like someone crying over a dead person. That reminds me of the thing that happened in my life. And that's a bummer.
Here we go.
So now Shadow and Sonic are they both kind of switched personalities. Not fully, but like a little bit. And now they launched the Eclipse Cannon into the sky. And now we're on the satellite and satellite level stuff. Sonic is like, all right, well, Knuckles, we don't have a fucking spaceship, so we're gonna have to do that thing we always do.
Yeah.
Where I use the, Chaos Emeralds and Master Emeralds and whatever, and then just power up like crazy and fly around. And Knuckles is like, no, I'm not letting you. Also, I'm the only one that knows where that is because that's my role as a protector of the Master Emerald. And then Sonic's like, I'll fucking kill you, Knuckles. And Knuckles is like, I'll fucking kill you, Sonic. But then Knuckles is like, but nah, I love you so much. I trust you to do revenge and kill everybody. And
I mean, kind of. This one was so weird to me because it's like, he's like, Sonic, you're gonna have to fight me if you want a shot at that Master Emerald. And it's like, all right, let's fight. And then Knuckles is like, oh, I don't wanna, whatever. You just go find it. Go find it, bro. Like it's so weird how quickly Knuckles gives up.
Well, they have their little friendship pact that's like, none of us will ever do something that the other one says we shouldn't do. And Knuckles really interestingly like logics a way around that of like, well, you saying you want to do this thing, I should trust you to break the friendship pact because I trust you so much. I even trust you more than the friendship pact, which is what the friendship pact would want. And then
right,
it's like what he says is like part of the pact is that I would always trust you,
right?
And I will keep to the pact even if you won't.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I will trust you that in this moment we need the emerald, even though I don't agree.
And like, I get it, Knuckles, but also you need the emerald. If he didn't get the emerald in this scene, they're totally fucked. They have no answer to any of the stuff that the Eggman or Shadow are going to throw at him, and they can't get up there because I think that the rule seems to be you can't ring to a place you haven't been or don't know or something like that. Seen.
You have to see. Yeah. But they do ring to it later, so they totally could have just ringed up there.
Yeah, so I don't understand. I guess we will learn that they are disposable, like one use only, and we're running low on them. So I guess maybe they're like, we need to always have as many as possible. I don't know.
We're running low, but we'll get more. You know what I mean? Like we'll figure out how to get more, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll use Ringonium or whatever.
You don't think so? There's no rings in future movies?
I said I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know what that's gonna be.
Yeah. Well, the rings don't really make any difference in this movie anyway, except they do, but like they don't.
The rings are just how they get places in this movie, except to
yeah, they're fast travel, and also sometimes they're like an out of a big danger situation, like emergency thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's how they get away from the black hole.
Yep. Yeah, and like that's smart of them. But there's even a little bit of drama in that scene about whether the ring will land in the right place to save them from the black hole or not. And I'm like, I don't know. That was how these worked. But I guess they are. I guess it's like Sonic does a trick shot. And he says trick shot. And I'm like, what are we fucking doing, Sonic? But that's Sonic for you, I guess. He's a little rude dude.
Rascal.
But you guys, where would Knuckles, the echidna from, the planet Echidna or whatever, who has nothing but honor and wants to save the Master Emerald, where would he put the Master Emerald for safekeeping? It must be somewhere no one in the world could have guessed. Otherwise, it would get found. And Sonic probably would have just checked there.
He also hints that it is guarded by one of Earth's mightiest warriors.
One of our mightiest warriors, that's right.
So was this the whole Knuckles show tie-in? Is that what this thing was when we see that guy?
I mean, Wade is like the second, he's like the human character.
Oh,
for
so this isn't the one where you were like, oh,
oh yeah. I mean, seeing Wade, it didn't matter. I don't think they played hockey in it, so I don't know where they got that from.
Okay,
it's a bowling show. If anything, we would see him in a bowling alley. But but yeah, him being there, I feel like, and I imagine for most of my audience was just like, oh my god, that guy from Sonic 1. But it kind of felt like a big deal, the way that people did that thing where they go, oh, when he shows up. I don't know. How did your theaters react to the return of Wade Whipple?
0, nilch.
Yeah. I don't think there was any reaction.
You're missing out. You gotta go to the cool theaters.
I guess so.
The people that yell and start fights and stuff, but also react to Adam Pally. So
in the Knuckles show, does he give the Master Emerald to Wade?
I don't think so. I can't remember in that part. It's like the Master Emerald. I feel like the show is just about Wade becoming a warrior, and like Knuckles needs to, because there's the other guy who's the bad guy, who's just like Robotnik but fake, the Hound, who wants to, like all of these things, steal Knuckles' power and use it to make robots and shit. So like, I feel like the Master Emerald doesn't really factor into it. I didn't finish the show, but I can't imagine. It's not a plot point in the beginning of the show. It's just about Knuckles needs to trick or teach Wade to use responsibility and honor by winning his bowling thing. And the bad guys keep trying to steal Knuckles. Bad guys being Kid Cudi and Friend.
Okay.
So, yeah. It's a weird one, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. But then everybody goes to the spaceship, and that is where Shadow either tells the guys or just remembers his tragic past. And it's not exactly what you'd expect. For some, it was not enough. DJ, would you like, or Diggins, would you like to explain it? Actually, it's someone who appreciates it.
So we had been told that there was some sort of tragic accident, an explosion, and that's when Shadow got put away, like put in suspended animation or whatever. But we don't see exactly what happens. So here's where we finally see what happens, which is Gerald Robotnik runs and gets Maria and Shadow and is like, they're trying to take Shadow away. We've got to get out of here, Maria. And the three of them start running away through the facility while like an alarm is going off. And they're all running. And then a bunch of gun soldiers show up behind them as they're running. And they're like, stop, halt, we've got to stop you. And they're not stopping. So one soldier raises up his energy rifle, points it at them. And then young Commander Walters like pushes his gun and is like, what are you doing? They're children. And he's like, we have our orders, and fires. And the energy beam from his gun hits like a tank or something near them, which then explodes.
It was a tank of stored chaos energy.
Oh,
they're hanging on to that stored chaos energy.
Right. Which then explodes and knocks all of them like to the floor. Gerald and Shadow are okay, but Maria is killed by this explosion.
Yeah.
And Shadow and Gerald are like weeping over her corpse. They're very, very sad about it.
Now,
and
how is this different from the game? Is the question.
So she gets shot in like the fucking not the face, but she is shot in the game.
We don't see it happen, but it is very strongly implied that a man shoots her and she bleeds out and dies. Also, another thing from the game that's not in here, by the way, Maria, the reason Maria is hanging out, because also in the game they're on the space station, they're not just in some facility. That's where Shadow's being experimented upon. It's also where he was created. He wasn't found.
Yes.
He was made by Gerald Robotnik.
To be, what is the phrase, everyone?
The
ultimate life form.
Yeah. Which I think they say maybe once or twice in this. I don't remember,
remember.
I think we heard it.
I think it might be in the thing about the bio lizard cameo. I think that's like,
oh really?
The, like black and white B movie. They're like the ultimate life form.
That makes sense. That's fun.
That is fun. But so the other thing is that Maria is on the space station and like is in this science place because she has fantasy AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
It's called NIDS, Neuroimmune Deficiency Syndrome.
Oh man, I forgot that there was an actual name for what it was. That's really funny that they went that far with it.
Yeah, so she has some sort of disease that, you know, makes her immune system not work and it's killing her. And so she's there so they can try to make a cure.
Right.
So that's why she's hanging out with this hedgehog in the game.
Yeah.
Here, Gerald Robotnik just really loves his granddaughter and she gets to hang out on the base.
And she has calmed the hedgehog, so it makes sense to have her around as like a friend to him.
Yeah, but she's allowed there before they ever know that she's friends with the hedgehog.
Well, she probably just yelled at somebody in the front desk and they're like, all right, you can go in the secret lab facility. It's fine.
True. But so DJ apparently is unsatisfied by this change.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You called them cowards.
I mean, just imagine if they had her shot, though.
Well, obviously, we all would have loved it if this little girl was shot on screen in the movie.
Yep.
However, and here's where I'm impressed. Here's where I'm like, they actually went far closer to that than I was expecting.
Okay.
A soldier knowingly and intentionally raises his gun to a small child and pulls the trigger with the intent to hit her. That shot ends up killing her.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that fair.
Is wild for a kid's movie.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I mean, cool. I guess in terms of choices, if you wanted to be, you know, faithful to the game, it's like, all right, she has to be killed by a member of the military.
Yeah.
That's how this goes.
I mean, I remember seeing the first trailer where you saw the vault, or not the vault, the Shadow sadly looking at the big tube. And you're like, they're going to fucking kill the girl. But there was enough of me that was like, much like last year's Aquaman, where you're like, they're going to kill Aqua Baby. And then they didn't. That like, I was like, oh, they're going to be like coward out, not kill her.
I did like also when they announced the casting of the little girl who plays Maria.
Yeah.
She like posted on Twitter or something of herself wearing a black coat backwards. So it looked like she was in a body bag.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't see that. That's great. Yeah. I was going to say, like, I liked all the people that were commenting. Like when just that actor, when there was a Maria actor in the movie at all, they were like, they're going to fucking kill the kid. And they killed her. But maybe now that she's been killed by chaos energy, do you think there's any chance she comes back?
Oh, man.
Got sent through chaos. I mean, like her.
Maria is the Uncle Ben of the Sonic franchise.
Yeah, right.
No matter how many bullshit resurrections we do, we can never bring back Maria.
That's fair. It's a shame because, well, not shame, but I do think one of my favorite things that came out of this movie, outside of the movie, was there's an interview that Ben Schwartz did with Colbert, and Colbert was trying to be like, I know Sonic stuff, because I'm sure he knows some Sonic stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was prepped on some Sonic stuff by his interview team, and maybe he'd even seen the movie. Well, that actually doesn't seem like what had happened when he did the interview, because he's like, Ben Schwartz doing, speaking a million miles an hour, is like, so this game's based on Sonic Adventure 2. It's about Shadow and the Shadow Hedgehog. And Stephen Colbert's like, I know about Shadow the Hedgehog, and I know about Maria. And Ben Schwartz's like, you know about Maria? And then Colbert says, yeah, she's in love with Shadow. And then Ben Schwartz says, I don't know about in love with. And then that never really get back to it. But I like the version of this that, like, yeah, she grows up. We'll see like an aged up Maria in the next one, and she'll be played by like Sydney Sweeney or something, and she'll have a romance with the hedgehog.
Maybe that will be
time.
Instead of Princess Elise, Lacey Chabert, we get Sydney Sweeney as grown up Maria kissing a hedgehog.
Oh, that's right. Or maybe her spirit gets sent to, one of the female, like Rouge the Bat gets made out of the spirit of little Robotnik, so we don't need to get a.
That's
the
only
maybe not
way
Rouge,
to
but
make
someone
Rouge
similar.
the Bat a more horrifying fetish character.
Oh god.
Is to also have her being made with the spirit of a little girl.
I don't think there would be any space for her in this movie, but I was a little bummed to not see Rouge the Bat in this, because she's the only playable character from Sonic 2 that doesn't make it into the movie.
Sonic Adventure 2.
Sonic Adventure 2, right, yeah. And
there's time.
There's plenty of time. Oh, yeah. And I think
maybe Sonic 5 or Sonic 6 will get a Rouge the Bat.
I do think, like, what's her name? Kristen Ritter, when she was announced, everybody was like, she might be Rouge the Bat. I think she would be good casting for that.
Yeah, I can see it.
And part of me was like hoping, even when I found out she was in charge of G.U.N, I'm like, maybe Rouge the Bat is in charge of G.U.N for some reason.
Rouge the Bat
like,
is canonically a G.U.N agent.
Yes, exactly. Maybe it's just like a bunch of humans being led by a little bat thing. And, you know, maybe she has like a conservative outfit in this, but as she becomes more in touch with her, you know, animal chaos energy stuff, she, you know, rouges it up. But, I think that would be fun. I don't know. I just want Knuckles to have something to do in these movies. And even in this one, he's like complaining, like, please let me do something. And Sonic's like, no, I'm doing Sonic stuff. Wait until the end, please. So, I don't know. Maybe they could do that for Knuckles Season 2. But then, what happens? They turn on the Eclipse Cannon, and Sonic tries to kill Shadow. It's pretty cool. They have a big fight in, like, Mustafar or something.
Yeah.
And it's pretty rad. Shadow's able to steal the Chaos Emeralds from Sonic by just being better at
bumping
Shadow
into him,
shit.
you know.
Yeah, punch them real hard, and they all fall out like Chaos, like Sonic rings. Is that the first time anything like that's ever happened in these?
In these
movies, anybody has punched Sonic, and Sonic has dropped what he was carrying, and that's been like, whoops.
It has to be,
because that's cute that's what they did.
I mean, we must have talked about this last movie where they've just decided to make the Master Emerald, all 7 Chaos Emeralds in one, like, you know, because they're not gonna Infinity Stone it, but they'll find a way. There's gonna be some stupid shit where they'll differentiate them somehow. Chaos Emeralds.
Doesn't what's his name use a different Chaos Emerald to travel through time or something like that?
No,
the time
he uses
travel
a regular
one.
Chaos Emerald.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I could have sworn there were other Chaos Emeralds in, like, other blank emeralds in the universe that they couldn't discover. Because, like, Chaos Emerald.
There are in some games other emeralds. I think in Sonic Mania, there's like a Time Emerald.
Yeah. Like that I could see is kind of like how if you watch the first, you know, phase of Phase 1, all they're really arguing about and like fighting over is one Infinity Stone. Then when it opens up, it's like they're just full movies where there's like 3 in play.
You'd never believe it.
Yeah, they could do that here where there's just a bunch of. I mean, I hope they don't. Well, I don't know. I mean, fuck it. Maybe the next one's just finding a bunch of different rocks, and maybe it's just Rouge the Bat and Knuckles flying around big weird spaces, and the little meter goes beep 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 when they get closer to it, and then they have to get it. That'd be pretty good. I hated those levels so much.
They were the worst. They were the worst fucking levels.
I like maybe the most frustrating thing of my whole childhood. But anyway, Sonic and Knuckles fight much like the Dragon Ball Z guys.
Sonic and Shadow fight.
Or Sonic and Shadow, excuse me. They fight and blow each other up and stuff.
Super Sonic and Super Shadow.
So, okay, it's definitely Super Sonic. Was Super Shadow? I couldn't remember if there's another name for him. Okay.
No, it's just Super Shadow.
Okay, yeah.
It's not Silver Shadow or something like that? I mean, Silver is already a guy. Okay, yeah. Because it's weird. Sonic turns gold, but then Shadow turns white and kind of retains his red stripes. He looks cooler. But also, we haven't really gotten into this at all. Shadow has the wristbands on. Like, Sonic wears gloves. They're part of his skin or something, you would have to assume.
Yeah.
So those are actually inhibitors that Shadow wears. That doesn't come up at all in the movie, but that is what they are.
But isn't there a bit
come up in the games, except for one single game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you'll never believe it. It's Sonic 06 this comes up in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, because... Oh, well, you go ahead.
And it doesn't really, like, come up so much as in, like, the end cutscene of Shadow's story in that game, when he's fighting Methyles, the very memorable evil villain of Sonic 06. He's like, oh, we've got to fight Methyles. So he does the dramatic, like, taking his rings off, implying that they're, like, limiters. And he's like, I'm going beast mode.
Doesn't that happen? Does that happen in this?
No, not in Sonic Adventure 2. No.
Then it must happen. Well, does it? But does it happen in this movie?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that does happen here, and I was kind of confused by that because, yeah, the movie made no effort to explain it. But, you know, I wouldn't want him on either. I mean, they're cool looking, actually. They look pretty good on him. I don't want to... I like how his outfit has more going on than Sonic's. But yeah, so they fight. Sonic almost murders him. And when he does, do you remember why what the Save Martha of this one is?
Oh my gosh. There was a
specifically triggers Sonic to not kill him.
It's both sillier than Martha and also not as silly as Martha.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember this?
Like, so what it is so they're fighting. They fight in space. Hedgehogs don't need to breathe.
Nah.
Not in their super form.
Yeah.
Or in their regular form, as we're about to find out.
Oh, right.
We'll find out, yeah. I mean, they're aliens, right? So why would they even need to breathe air?
Yeah. So they fight. Sonic, like, punches Shadow to the moon. And Shadow depowers on the moon, and Sonic comes and is like raising his fist, like ready to hit him. And Shadow's like, "Do it right here," and like points at his chest, like, "Kill me!"
Oh yeah.
And that makes Sonic remember when Tom is like, at the beginning of the movie, Tom was like, "You know, you went through a lot of bad stuff, but you didn't let it change who you are in here." And points at his heart, and Sonic's like,
"In my lungs,
I'm letting the bad things change who I am in here."
Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Poignant.
Yep. And then they talk a little bit. They sit down and are like, "It's not good to be Shadow," and like what they're doing is bad, and not bad to be Shadow, but not good to be bad. We should be friends instead. And
Sonic's like, "I have also lost people, and it made me sad, but
yeah.
I decided that destroying the Earth isn't a constructive resolution to that sadness." And Shadow's like, "I've never thought about it that way before."
Now, in the game, correct me if I'm wrong, Shadow thinks that he should destroy the Earth with the Eclipse Cannon because he thinks Maria wanted him to or something.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. But they don't do that here, which is good.
But then he has a conversation with Maria, with Amy, where he remembers the real flat thing Maria said, where she's like, "Hey, Shadow, just like be cool.
Yeah, don't kill like, everybody.
Be so chill, Shadow, please."
No, yeah.
He's like, "God damn it, I fucked it all up.
Right,
I wasn't chill at all."
So then Shadow is cool now. The Eclipse Cannon, Robotnik's gonna kill everybody. He also went on TV and did the little thing where he go on all the TV screens and you're like, "Fuck you, everybody." And now
but Stone, you're cool.
But
no,
not even that bit yet. I'm talking about, he got on the TV.
Gerald Robotnik does his broadcasting to everyone. Which, and here's one. Well, I guess they can't. Okay, so keep in mind that in the original game, Gerald Robotnik is dead, and this thing that plays is a recording he was allowed to make in his jail cell moments before Gunn executed him.
Yeah, they should do that.
Which really raises the question of how did he set it up to autoplay on the Ark then?
Right?
It's a great question. He
was executed immediately afterwards.
Maybe he had a computer system ready looking for a video of himself saying, "Everybody get fucked." And then when that got loaded online, it stole the video. I don't know. But yeah, he gives a big message. And this is where I think Eggman, one robot, Ivo, is like, "Oh, you want to destroy the world, not rule it. We should..." And then they fight. They do a couple weird little things. The main one that's weird. Oh, by the way, he put on a coat that's even better than the old coat and looks just like
such a good coat.
Yeah. And the other Robotnik also put on like a big white coat that's kind of like the video games, I guess. It's like the white version of the one that, Eggman wears. But they have a fight using fucking insect parts or something.
They have like nano gloves that they can turn into anything.
Yeah. Which I guess kind of.
And also there's this stone cold moment where our Robotnik Ivo is like, "You don't need to destroy I'm your grandson also, and we have each other. We don't need to destroy the world. We can rule it." And Gerald Robotnik is just like, "You're no Maria."
Yeah.
And it's like,
get fucked.
Very
cold.
Different. Yeah. And I think I also like the line when they're fighting again, because like the things that the characters in this movie say are silly, but they never say them in a silly way. It's like when they're fighting and Robotnik, Gerald Robotnik reveals the thing, the nano weapon, makes a big fist. And Ivo says, "You got the big old fist. You're going to use that for Comic-Con?" And Gerald Robotnik very, very dangerously says, "There's not going to be a Comic-Con." And then the fight starts, and it's like pretty good. But while that's happening, yeah, Sonic and Shadow are like, squashing the beef. They do a cool thing where they, what is this called? There's got to be a name for what this is.
They power up.
Well, but then with what? What is that? The two guys grab each other's hands and make muscles like in Predator?
Oh, the Predator handshake?
Predator handshake, yeah. They do a Predator handshake and then immediately power up with the emeralds, which is pretty cool. And now they can fly and they're going to the space station, so they're just going to go fuck it up.
And while they're doing that and they're powering up and we're getting ready to head into the climax of the movie, the music starts blaring and they're like, "Live and learn, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn from the works of yesterday. Live and learn." Okay, I'm done.
I was sobbing in the theater and right now from Diggins' perfect rendition. That one was just like for the fans. That song. Now I will say it's no this is like so embarrassing. The one from Sonic Adventure 1, that is like the version of this when you fight Chaos at the end.
Sonic Adventure 1 has a song?
What? I know, but it's by Crush 40. It's the same guys.
What's the Sonic Adventure 1 one?
I don't know.
I love it so much. I like it better.
Yeah.
Open Your Heart. That one.
Right.
Open your heart. That one. I like that better than Live and Learn. But it's fine. It's totally fine.
I don't even know if either of them are better than Escape from the City, but sure. They're both.
Listen, I love Sonic Butt Rock. Okay? And I'm not
I
ashamed
also
to
love
admit
Sonic.
it.
Yeah, I love Sonic
What
Butt
is
Rock.
Sonic Butt Rock?
Well, it's Sonic, and then the genre is butt rock.
Butt rock.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
No, B-U-T-T. It is butt.
Yeah, it's butt.
Oh, okay.
Butt rock.
Yeah.
Great.
There's Yacht Rock, there's Butt Rock.
Mm-hmm. Dad rock. Yep. Butt rock. I did not like this. Only because they do it twice. Should have saved it for when they start fighting the robots, because I think
like
that moment is cooler.
Jokes. I was like, just have the one extended Live and Learn sequence.
Yeah, well, it's weird. It's jokes in like full editing, because it's like, it's not even that it's like, they do their little pose, or not do their little pose, but they like both do power up and stuff, and then we just cut to at least a minute of space station bullshit. This is where I guess the praying mantis is jokes. Yeah.
Well, don't forget, Nando, the first thing we cut to is Gerald Robotnik spanking Ivo Robotnik with
my God.
Yeah. He's been a bad little boy. So yeah.
Another thing for the fetishists out there.
That's true. Yeah. And that's good that they deserve it. But yeah, they do their weird little fight, and then the robots come out. They have like a robots, because there's no bio lizard in this. And they kill the robots in space, and that's when the music kicks in a second time. And I don't know, I feel like it was more effective, but I don't know what to do with it. Do you maybe have them power up with nothing? Do they power up and then they okay, so if you want to have a power up moment, power up, quiet, big explosion, white, and then they jump out into the space, and then you hear some really dramatic version of like the Sega, like sung by like a chorus of angels and children, because I don't think they've done that in this game. The Sega sound that started all of these games. But yeah, I feel like I don't know. I wish they'd saved it for the big fight, because it's pretty cool, and the big fight is pretty cool. They like kill all the robots and stuff. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tails and Knuckles show up. I cannot remember why.
Robotnik loses the fight with Gerald,
right?
And is like gets stomped and like thrown into he opens like a spaceport at the bottom of the station, so he's gonna fall out into space. But then a ring opens up and Tails and Knuckles come out and they save Robotnik.
Yeah, that's right. Also, we get one bit, and I love this because I was kind of wondering if they would do it where Knuckles and excuse me, where Shadow and Sonic are both running towards the danger, and then they have a little smack talk to each other. Very short little moment. It's just like, try to keep up, you old man, and then Shadow's like, go fuck yourself, little guy. And I think in the game that is what they do before their first or their last big fight. Where they're
they
like,
have a little conversation where Shadow's like, I didn't think you'd be as sick nasty as you are, Hedgehog.
Yeah, and I've seen a million versions of that online, and it's really good. So I was hoping they do a little bit more of it, but it's fine.
I am sad that at no point in this movie does Shadow say, like, fake Hedgehog, you're comparing yourself to me? Ah, you're not even good enough to be my fake. And then before he even finished this sentence, Sonic goes, I'll make you eat those words.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much of that. I mean, if there was one thing that I was missing, and sort of you would have had to change kind of how the Master Emerald fight worked. Before Sonic and Shadow get the Master Emerald and like team up to be good guys, you needed a scene where they both just talk about it or something, and in the background, and like the cuts are both to them, and then one cut is just to Knuckles with his mouth open going like this for like a solid 5 seconds. It's one of my favorite bits of the old games that I'll never forget. And it's right in the middle of all the like bum 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 bum. Oh my god, we're gonna use the Master Emerald to fight, and then just it's really good. Let's see if I can find the clip. But yes, then they blow up all the things. Shadow does some fucking move where he makes a bunch of arrows or something. Is that from
Chaos
something? I cannot.
Spears. Yeah.
Chaos Spears. That's a thing. Okay, that's pretty cool. They blow up everything. And also Shadow has already charged up the Eclipse Cannon by running around the ice rink in the middle of it. So that will it's gonna blow. Then it's going to destroy Earth, but because of Tails being around and them being able to do hijacking and whatever, and then the Sonics being able to save the Earth with their chaos magic and whatever, they're able to divert the ship so that it does not destroy Earth. But what does it do?
Well, hold on. Before that happens, let's not forget that Ivo, with an assist from Tails and Knuckles, does straight murder his grandfather.
Yep.
Yeah, what does he do? He kicks him into the thing or something?
Yeah,
like
bug
that?
zappers him.
He sticks him in the butt with the sonic quill he's got. And that, like a cartoon character, makes Gerald like shoot into the air, going like, oh! And he hits the chaos energy and just like splats like a bug zapper.
Good. Kill that man. He's a bad guy. And yeah, so then they have to take control of the thing to not kill Earth. And what do they end up doing?
So Sonic and Shadow are like stopping the beam from hitting Earth, and Robotnik, Tails, and Knuckles are turning the space station so the beam will just shoot out into space and hit some other planet, probably.
Yeah.
And they do that. They get it just in time that it doesn't hit Earth, but it keeps turning and slices off a chunk of the moon.
That's fine.
Now, in the real game, they fully destroy the moon, right? And that's not even
they blow
for
up
this.
half the moon. Robotnik, to prove that because he tries to hold the world ransom, and he's like, to prove that I'm serious, I'm gonna blow up the moon, and he blows up half the moon.
Pretty cool. And then
to be clear, would cause like an apocalypse on Earth.
Oh yeah,
if that much of the moon was suddenly destroyed.
And even then, and I think this is a funny bit because Knuckles or Sonic and Shadow are like trying to save everybody. They're like, so we saved everybody, and then they're like, yeah, kind of. And what do you mean? Well, the thing's gonna still explode and kill everybody on Earth. Like, I feel like the line specifically is like, if it explodes, it'll just irradiate the atmosphere, and then like, what does that mean? It's like, well, all the crops will die and all the oceans will boil, but besides that, it'll be okay. And then they're like,
well, what it is so Sonic depowers like right before they get it, because he was too much for him, and he starts falling to Earth. So Tails and Knuckles like go out to like the airlock to go save Sonic, and Robotnik is still hanging around, as the station starts to like gets like exploding, and Shadow teleports
Mhm.
to him, and he's like, "What's happening?" And I believe exactly what he says is, like, well, if it explodes this close to Earth, it will irradiate the atmosphere, rain that melts people's faces. Other
Yeah.
than that,
And then so then Shadow and him both like reduce the explosion and move the spaceship together.
Robotnik is like using his shield technology to like
Yeah.
hold back the explosion while Shadow physically pushes the space station further away from Earth.
Mm-hmm. Now, also Robotnik, before he does this, gets on the computer. Oh, well, I guess maybe during, gets on the computer to all mankind and gives us all a message that's like, by the way, I'm in love with my assistant boyfriend with the lattes. I like that.
Yeah, Stone is cool.
Stone is cool. We should have fucked
He's
earlier.
stone
Instead, I
cold.
fucked my grandpa a bunch, and that was weird. Yeah, I should have. And maybe they were originally, so there's that. What did you think of Robotnik's dramatic sacrifice?
I mean,
I was like, oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say he'll be back. I know
Yeah.
this is not the end of him.
I was like, I don't believe this for a second.
No, he sacrificed himself. I loved it. Loved the whole thing. I loved that he got to do a little bit more stupid dancing. You know, he got his favorite, and he died.
Maybe.
Pretty cool. What is his last words? I can't remember.
I forget also.
Yeah, I also
Yeah,
remember.
some classic
He goes,
Jim
"Hasta
Carrey
la
line.
vista."
Yeah.
He's like, somebody stop me.
Yeah, could have been any of them. But I'm hoping it was great. And then the hedgehogs all save each other by Knuckles tries to get Tail, or who is it? Tails tries to get Sonic, and then all dies. And then Knuckles gets both of them, and then they survive. So it's nice.
Yeah, he throws out the last ring so that they can teleport to safety, even though I don't think that stops their momentum, so they'd probably still die.
I mean, I guess they teleport. Like, is it one of those ones where they were going down and then they're going across? So these guys can fucking wipe out at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It doesn't matter. It's just there.
I guess that's true, yeah.
We do know they're quite dense. I think we've learned that maybe the first of these, based on what happens to them. But
Stitch, if he ends up in water, he just sinks because his muscles and bones are so dense.
Exactly that, yeah. And which we'll have to get to next year when they make that Stitch live action movie. Do we think any of these guys could kill Stitch? Probably not.
I don't think Shadow could without the inhibitors. Fuck him.
Maybe, yeah.
He push the whole space station.
Well, also in the game, and obviously I see why you don't do this because you want to kill Robotnik because you don't have any more gold papers. Shadow fully teleports the station away into hell or something. Like, it's not. There's no big explosion, I don't think.
Yeah.
So if he does that to Stitch, then Stitch is fucked. But yeah, then they have a little party and they race around and stuff. The dog is involved in some way. And then that's it. No more movie. The end of movie.
But then
on Instagram 3 weeks ago, there's a little post-credit scene.
Oh my goodness.
Did you guys expect it to be these two things together?
I had a feeling about the one, our hooded friend. I'm like, yeah, probably.
Really?
That. Yeah.
I thought the other thing was coming. I did not think the hooded friend would be the one that protects them.
The hooded friend being combined with this, I did not expect. I expected the hooded friend more than the other thing because I feel like the other thing is so similar to Shadow.
Yep.
Where it's like I feel like we can't do these one after the other.
But see, I think I couldn't remember what podcast this would have been on. Maybe when we did the Sonic 3 trailer. I'm pretty sure I was like, you got to do Metal Sonic next because you can do a lot of him. You can have an army of Metal Sonics where you can't really do that with any of the rest of these guys. But yeah, so Sonic is running around. He bumps into he like goes to the wrong place. All the way
to New York.
New York City. Yeah.
Ooh, who's from there?
Eric Adams. No.
That's right.
He's from New Jersey. But then
Scabby the Rat, another one of Sonic's friends.
Ooh, that guy sounds cool. Does he say I'm walking here?
No, he says I love unions.
Hell yeah. Oh, Scabby the Rat. Yeah. That is And this movie doesn't really get into the economics of the Sonic world. Sonic is very anti-gun, or like at least like he works with gun, but now I feel like he's probably anti-gun because they keep trying to thwart him. But we haven't had a bad guy be in charge of the Sonic Corporation yet. Maybe that'll be the next one. Yeah, maybe that's why they make Metal Sonics, because usually Robotnik does that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else there wasn't any of in this movie? Rails. Needed a lot more rails.
So there's very little grinding.
Yeah. But whatever, maybe they did want to say.
So we should say it was Amy was the one who was.
Yeah. So in that scene, there's a big Metal Sonic, and then Sonic beats it up, and then that Metal Sonic turns into like 50 other Metal Sonics. Remember Sonic's line in this?
No.
The very classic line from Only Good Movies set in space. That's a neat trick. But then out of like a portal or something, a hooded figure shows up and kills all of the Metal Sonics with weapon,
some sort of big hammer.
Yeah, hammer. Eventually revealed to be a humongous hammer,
some
and
sort of pico hammer.
I mean, some sort of pico hammer. A pico hammer in like a steampunk world or something. It's got way more shit on it, but whatever. And then we see it takes off its mask, and it turns out to be Amy. Doesn't speak. Very importantly.
Yeah.
I was expecting a little Scarlett Johansson voice or something, but nothing.
Gotta speculate on that casting.
But
that's right. It's the one female character in an animated children's franchise, so it does have to be Scarlett Johansson.
Gotta be ScarJo. Yeah, we gotta get her. Her or Beyonce. And Beyonce's probably busy. Although Beyonce would be really funny for Ben Schwartz's love interest in one of these. But I was gonna say, I've heard this before, or I've heard someone talk about this. This is like when they did Shadow in Sonic 2, they, like I said, they used the Sonic like body to just do it. When they did Tails in Sonic 1, they pretty much just did a thing that ended up being completely changed by the time they made like this. The Tails like body and face in Sonic 2 looks very different from a Sonic 1.
Yeah.
This Amy, I've never seen an Amy like this before. I have to assume this is what Amy's going to look like in the next movie.
Yeah, probably.
Right. And it's got like a different kind of hairstyle or something. I don't know exactly how to describe it. Let me see. It's probably pictures online.
Also, I should say, by the way, to preserve my credentials, that while I didn't expect them to both be in this post-credits scene, it does make some sense in that Amy and Metal Sonic were introduced in the same game.
Yeah.
Right, which wasn't this one. It's the one before this one?
No, it was Sonic the Hedgehog CD. Compact Disc.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, and yeah, this is why I thought when a character came from a portal or whatever to save Sonic, I just assumed this was Silver. And that's why I was very confused by it. But yeah, there's some pretty good images of her online right now. I don't know what makes her
because
look
it
very
leaked
different.
before the movie even came out.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Who would you cast as Amy, knowing that Sonic is going to be played by Ben Schwartz, obviously,
and knowing that it will be Scarlett Johansson,
and knowing it will be Scarlett Johansson, but who's going to do it when Scarlett Johansson is busy?
I'll throw one out there, maybe to just capture like a totally different audience. Maybe they'll throw like a Zendaya in there to just like get all the
That's
Zendaya
true. Space Jam did have her as the one female character.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say to capture a different audience, let's get Ariana in there, like the new star of the world. And also maybe they can sing in it, and that would be fun. Obviously, Zendaya can also sing. But what was I going to say?
I was going to say someone I kind of in my head is permanently a natural scene partner for Ben Schwartz. Get Jenny Slate.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild. And then they could kiss, and then like, that'd be kind of funny. Because they were in sisters and brother. But I guess the thing with Amy Rose now is that I feel like because Keanu was the only big name added to this new movie, that I feel like the Amy has to also be a big movie star.
I agree.
It can't
like
just
Scarlett
be
Johansson.
Right, yeah, Scarlett Johansson or Ariana Grande or Zendaya. Yeah, it's got to be somebody who could almost headline their own movie as big as this.
It will now
So-
be stars all the way down, right? And they gave
Yeah.
the nerds the one. Tails will have that be the voice actor.
Yeah, Colin
but now,
O'Shaughnessy will be working forever on these, along with the biggest, highest paid stars on the planet.
yeah, it's gonna be all like marquees.
Wait, guys, I got it. Amy Rose, voiced by Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I was gonna say, there's always space for him in this as anybody. Maybe the Bio Lizard in the future. You know,
Well, I was gonna say, who will he be? Like eventually in these movies.
In
Maybe
Sonic
Black.
9, they'll tap him for Bark the Polar Bear.
Oh, maybe. I was gonna say maybe that Black Doom guy. I don't really know what he sounds like, but that seems like he
Black
could be
Doom.
kind of exciting.
Nah, Big
Black
the
Doom
Cat.
sounds like a guy who would be named Black
Oh.
Doom. Nando,
You think
that's what he
yeah.
sounds like.
You think Big the Cat? That's an
Yeah,
interesting
Big the
one.
Cat. Yeah.
Ooh.
What about whatever it is, the big robot that's kind of shaped like the Rock.
101 Gamma.
E1283 or whatever.
No, E123 Gamma, E1000 Gamma, Omega.
Yeah, whatever
Sorry,
that guy
Omega.
is. Yeah. That'd
Not-
be pretty
Oh,
cool.
you're talking about the big old one. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that's got a triangle body like the Rock.
Yep.
E123 Omega.
Okay.
Yeah. Be pretty good. But yeah, he will be in one of these eventually. I mean, if he's free, because he's probably working on Red 1, you know.
Red 2.
Or Red 2, right, yeah. Red 1 2. But what was I gonna say? But yeah, and then that's the end of the movie.
Well, is it, Nando?
Well, I mean, it's almost the end of the movie, but what is the real end of the movie, Diggins?
Well, for those of us who were cool.
Oh, and also, without even getting to that, like all these Sonic movies, I always want to say this: great songs in the credits. I really enjoy the original songs they invent for the Sonic credits. I don't remember who this was, but it was fun. I think it's something I could listen to outside of these. But anyway,
Nando
sorry, go on.
says Academy Award for original song to Sonic 3. That's what he's pulling
not
for.
Wicked. Sonic 3.
Yep.
Well, there is no original song in Wicked, so
Exactly. That's what they deserve.
no, for those of us who were brave and cool and stayed till the very end of the credits, DJ,
Yep.
were you one of these people?
I was.
All right. We see one short little scene where in like a crater or something
Mm-hmm.
There's
On
the-
Earth, presumably.
on Earth, yeah, there's a ring, one of Shadow's little inhibitor rings, and then Shadow the Hedgehog picks it up. Shadow the Hedgehog lives.
A gloved hand picks it
Yeah.
up. All right.
Plenty
We
of
don't
guys in
know.
this universe wear gloves.
That's true. Or have glove-like protrusions
Yeah.
on their hands, or have hands that just sort of are shaped and textured like gloves. It's not clear. We never see them without them.
I mean, maybe this is, does not Amy, the other one, does Vampire Girl, does she have gloves on? Maybe her?
Rouge the Bat.
Rouge the Bat, yeah.
I think she has gloves.
I think so too. Yeah, she
Well,
has
maybe-
long gloves. She has like gloves all the way
Oh,
up to her
yeah.
leg.
She
she
has
has,
sexy
like-
gloves.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
has sexy gloves. Yeah, I'm really surprised we didn't see Silver in this, honestly. Who doesn't have
man.
gloves is Chaos. He's the one that I would expect maybe to be picking up inhibitor rings, but he's just a
So-
big thing.
They'll wait for Silver, I'm telling you.
I mean,
Give me
Silver's
a
going to
minute.
definitely give us time travel, right? That's going to be the point of that movie.
That's
and
his
then
whole
I think
thing.
after-
Like, you can't do Silver
Yeah.
without time travel.
and that's how we bring back Robotnik. And then after that, it's multiverse, and then we're doing Sonic Heroes, or not Sonic Heroes, Sonic Generations.
Sonic
What was that one
Generations.
called?
Mhm.
Yeah, with like a little animated, Spider Verse of these.
Yeah. Basically.
But I think that's like 2 movies out. I think the next one is time travel. I feel like that's where Amy's from, and then the one after that is multiverse, because that's the rules. Especially after Avengers Doomsday makes the billions of dollars that it probably will
Mhm.
by being an Avengers movie and not by being a multiverse movie. And then all the executives learn the wrong lesson from it. Any other thoughts about this one? What else was or wasn't in it? Anything else you guys missed from the movie, or from the game into the movie?
No, I don't think so.
Rouge the Bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really bad voice and cutscene direction.
Yeah, but good though, because
But
it was
good,
like,
bad, yeah.
yeah, really good, really true. Like the music in Sonic sucks, kind of. That's not Live and Learn because it's all like Korean soap opera music when characters are just talking. It's pretty cool. But I kind
In
of
Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
level music.
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
rules.
No, specifically these scenes in Sonic Adventure 2. Also, I shared the thing where Knuckles makes a silly face in the chat, and I gave it a little bit of runway. There's about 20 seconds and nothing, but they're talking, and then Knuckles makes the face. But that was all I wanted. And Idris Elba's Knuckles is pretty dumb, so he would
Knuckles fighting a big weird ghost in a pyramid. Is that?
Yeah. And I wouldn't have minded to see somebody invent the walkers. Maybe Tails would have done it, or somebody. I don't know. I guess the best you could hope for in this movie would be Tails has like the parts of it in his lab somewhere, and we see it, but he doesn't use it, or he does use it. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the best one of these, right? I think we all kind of agreed on that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Best movie of the year. Do you guys want to get to our classic segment?
yeah.
I would love that.
All right, DJ, do you have anything direct to the fine people?
Just one thing, little game I've been enjoying on my mobile device called, I'm sure everyone's heard of this by now, Balatro.
Monster.
What?
Little
Don't you
poker roguelike. Get all your jokers and
Sorry, I just saw the Knuckles face. It's really good.
It's on camera for so long. Way too long. But it's just like we had it and we had to use something. And yeah, such vivid memories as a child of me and my sister playing this game and watching that face. I'm going to send it to her right now. I'm going to send it to her later because it's really late. I don't want her to think I'm playing this game right now. Although I think she knows I'm up pretty late doing podcast stuff.
Unfortunately.
Anyway, yeah, but yeah, Balatro, DJ.
Balatro.
Is that a lot like Sonic, the Adventure Battle 2?
I think it's 1-1. Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's 1-1.
Been waiting. Something for the kids to appreciate.
Yeah, but if you want your roguelike deck builders that are just poker, then have I got the niche for you? I think I was late to the train on this, but I picked it up. I quite like it. It's good. Pick up, put down.
It's from this year, right? It's like a game of
it won best mobile game at the Game Awards. It was nominated for Game of the Year, but let's not get crazy, right?
Yeah.
Give Astro Boy its due or whatever.
Astro Boy. We need to get an Astro Boy game going.
Yeah,
I love Astro Boy.
So yeah, this is Balatro. It doesn't sound like a full-throated endorsement, but it's fun. If you like deck builders and or poker and or roguelikes, this is for you.
3 questions, pretty quick.
Yeah.
Number 1, there's no way to play against another person in this, right?
No.
Or is there?
No,
okay.
no,
Do you think they're going to build that into it?
I don't know, man. I think this guy, because it's made by one person,
right?
And I think it's like I had an idea and I made it because people are like, "Oh, we want like more Jokers, like put in like different kinds of Jokers." And I don't know if he said that
like Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger.
Ooh,
I would love those. I would love those Joker powers. So yeah, if you don't know what this is, essentially it just starts where you just play poker, but as you go through, you can get like little like bonuses to the cards in your standard 52 card deck, and you get these Jokers, and the Jokers give you different powers to basically make your deck synergize in a certain build. So maybe you do a flush build or a full house build or like a straight build, and it's all kinds of different directions you can take your poker deck in. So it's fun. I like it. And then the decks all do different kinds of things, but it's like pretty good. It's simple. It's like it's a game, and you just pay for it once you get the whole game. That's it. Just like in the old days. So
you can't get a bunch of fucking boxes and then go into a casino that's not connected to the game and use those to get more things and then cash those out for cash.
Yeah,
it's not a thing in this.
You don't have to, there's no gotcha mechanic to get you gotta open for the rare Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because this is the one game that is based on poker, but it's the least casino-like game on the market these days.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't spend money on it. That's not just buying the game.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Pokemon, I would say is a game that's pretty like this, but it's any other game that comes out today. It's It's impossible.
Full
to
of
ignore
loot
it.
boxes, full of actual gambling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How dare you? Question 2.
So that- yeah.
Is it addicting? That's one thing that I kind of have heard
Early
from it.
on, yes.
Okay.
It's just
Would
cool
you-
as you figure out the synergies and what goes on, and then you're kind of like, oh my god, I've poured 30 hours into this. Let's take a pause.
And then
So-
question 3, is the name Balatro anything? Like, what does that mean?
I think it's something related to Joker. I think.
Okay.
But it's impossible. You can't Google it without being like Balatro.
Ugh, that is a problem. But
Yeah.
yeah. But it sounds good. I mean, everybody I know that plays it loves it.
Balatro is a Latin word that means clown, jester, buffoon.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Nailed it.
Cool. I mean, it's
I Googled that and found it in 10 seconds, DJ.
Well, good for you.
Wow.
Good for you.
I feel like it's one of those names that feels like it's a name that is either made up or like is the secret real name of poker from hundreds of millions of years ago or
The
something.
original
So
poker name.
The
it's a
secret
good,
real
good
name
choice
of
for a
God.
name. Yeah. All right, Diggins, do you have anything to recommend for the fine people?
I do. So for Christmas, a holiday that myself and my family celebrate, I decided to watch a Christmas movie that came out this year that I had not seen.
Really?
Yes, a little movie called
You watched
Christmas.
Red One? Oh, the different one. Okay.
There's a different one. Obviously, we all watched Red One twice
Obviously.
before I did this. But we
I
did
watched
that as
it
a
a
family.
million times in 10-second increments, so you're
Mhm.
welcome, Dwayne.
Yeah, we all gathered around the TV before opening presents because obviously this was the real present.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched Red One together. But anyway, it's a little movie called Christmas Eve in Miller's Point.
Oh, what is this?
It's a movie it's a little hard to describe. It's not really like, it does not have a plot, I would say. It's kind of just like a tone piece sort of thing where it's just a Christmas Eve that this big family in like New York, a New York City suburb has, where like clearly it's like a family tradition. They all go to this grandma's house and celebrate together, and it just sort of like goes through the night of following various people of like the different generations, the grandma's kids and the grandkids and like the little ones and the teenagers, etc. And just has like these little vignettes of like what they're doing on that night. And just like in doing that, so it just captures all these different feelings of like Christmas, of like, when you're like being young and like being excited, getting presents, etc. And then like sort of like the melancholy of when you're older, like when you're an adult, and it's sort of like, you're happy to see family or like to see the kids excited, but then there's other like bittersweet things about seeing family, etc. I love being a teen and the sort of like
Ooh,
both like
jerking it during Christmas.
jerking it during
You're-
Christmas. That sort of
Yeah.
push and pull of like you do actually kind of like
Push and pull, push and
the
pull.
the masturbation, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Of you do kind of like Christmas and like being with family, but also you want you want to seem like you're too cool for it. I don't know. Like I said, there's no real plot. It just kind of like goes through various vignettes, like little scenes from this Christmas. And I think in doing so, it really effectively captures like all those different sort of like feelings that a person has around the holiday throughout their life, which I thought was pretty cool. So I enjoyed that. And I think...
I was going to say, is it by anybody we would know, or does it star anybody we would know? I'm surprised I haven't heard of this yet.
Michael Cera is very briefly in it, and he produced.
Is he doing cocaine in this, like in that This Is the End cameo he did?
No, although his cameo is extremely weird. I'll put it that way.
Nice. Very good.
Elsie Fisher is briefly in it. They're also a person you might know.
Yeah.
Other than that, they're pretty low. Not a lot of big names. Matilda Fleming, Maria Dizia, Ben Shankman, Francesca Scorsese.
Oh, the one from Instagram or TikTok?
That's right.
Cool.
One from TikTok.
Yeah. This is by a person named Taylor Teorema, who made
Taylor Thomas Teormina.
Yeah. Taylor Tommy Tolerico. Uh-oh.
Tyler.
Yeah. Tolerico. Yeah. Nothing super interesting here in their resume. So
Yeah, so just a little small thing, but I'd heard about it and I'd heard good things, so I gave it a watch. And yeah, like I said, it's if you like that sort of like meditative, not meditative per se, but like very, like I said, very plotless tone piece sort of thing about just trying to capture that feeling, all those different feelings of Christmas. I don't know. If you're in a mood, if you're like at that age where Christmas sort of like has changed and like maybe there's something a little melancholy about it, I think it is very good at sort of portraying that feeling. While not making it the entirety of Christmas.
Right.
But what about you, Nando? Do you have anything to recommend?
I have a couple things that I watched. So like I did watch Hot Frosty, one of my favorites, and maybe DJ will talk about this later, but a new because I was also looking for a new Christmas thing that wasn't Red One because I'd already watched it so many times. And besides other Hallmark movies, probably
the two directions you could go: Christmas Eve in Miller's Point or Hot Frosty.
And I didn't hate Hot Frosty; it's fine. Yeah, like I said, we'll talk about it more in a little bit. My other Christmas watch for this year, besides obviously Muppet Christmas Carol, which is great, is Hannah and I watched, and she had not seen the like Greta Gerwig Little Women, which is very much a Christmas movie. I love it. It's perfect, and like it just I've said this to a couple people this weekend. So like, I guess by the time we had seen each other, I hadn't said this, but like it just reminds me how much like Florence Pugh is a star, and like coming out of this, it was like, oh yeah, she's gonna be in everything, because obviously Saoirse Ronan was already Lady Bird, and like. But this was, I think, was the same year as Midsommar. He was already Lady Bird boy. Yep. Yeah. Call Me by Your Name and stuff. And then everybody else was like kind of older stars or whatever. Let's name all of Meryl Streep's roles. She was in Kramer versus Kramer.
Sophie's Choice.
Mamma Mia 1 and Mamma Mia 2. Here I go again.
Very briefly.
Yeah. And she had, like, it was pretty meaningful though. And yeah, she's in this too. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's like a movie that'll like make you cry and stuff, but also it's pretty funny. Like it's a very funny performance, and they all talk like people instead of weirdos from books. Like they talk over each other and have like
icky
ways.
Books. Disgusting.
Yeah. Fuck books. If there's anything I learned from watching Little Women, it's that books are bad. You shouldn't read them. You should burn them all. I only watched the first 20 minutes, but it seemed like everything went pretty well for that Amy Marsh. I mean, she's great. I love that character.
Things do ultimately go pretty well for that
she
Amy.
Does great. Yeah. couldn't be better. And yeah, I love that movie. And you know what? I was also expecting right as we turned it on, I was like, man, this is going to be like 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's not 2:10 or something like that. Very brisk. It covers a lot of ground, which is why in my head I kind of expected it to be longer, but not a super long movie. So I really enjoyed it. Two other things though, two things that weren't Christmas related. I watched a couple of videos online. I've watched bits and pieces of them. So like I was like washing the dishes and stuff. By a YouTuber named Coffeezilla, who does these very dramatic videos where he exposes frauds and scams and stuff. And sometimes they're a little bit more dramatic than I feel like they need to be. But sometimes I feel like he gets the balance right. And overall, he's pretty smart. So he did a video that was a series of videos about a couple of things like recently that have kind of been in the news. So apparently, there's a Counter-Strike. Like there's all kinds of weird stuff going on with Counter-Strike, but if you don't know what it is, there's an entire gambling industry built over the Counter-Strike skin loot box situation that is its whole own thing. And did you know any of this, that this existed at all? That the people gambled on Counter-Strike skins and stuff? I
actually thought you were going to talk about something else, so I don't know about this.
Oh, what else did he do? This is the series that I was watching, although he does a lot of stuff.
I might be thinking of a different guy entirely, but I watched the Honey video.
Yeah, there was a different guy that did that. I'm sure Coffeezilla will do one eventually, but the Honey video is also interesting. But yeah, this one is about just this insane racket that that these different casinos have set up where you can gamble, but it's not gambling, but it is, but it's not technically legally, whatever. And they all just get away with it and make bazillions of dollars. And Valve gets away with it too. And, you know, they say, oh, we want to crack down on these casinos, but they don't give a shit. And they make $1 billion too. And it's really bad. The thing that I think was interesting that I learned from it, besides all the other stuff, was that it's like he had a lot of people he was talking about who do this kind of gambling. He was like, when did you start? And then we're all like, oh yeah, when I was like 12, I was really excited about Counter-Strike, and I started doing this stuff with skins. So as if we're not giving young people enough horrible ways to gamble, there's also just casinos about games that have nothing to do with gambling that are just out here breaking everybody's brain. But yeah, the honey, what was the honey thing? Because it did feel very much like a Coffeezilla like topic, but it was apparently Megalag.
Is that guy's name?
Yeah, I'm not super familiar, but I also watched this one, and this was interesting. Do you want to describe it a little bit?
So this one is just about, so you may have heard of the browser extension Honey, which is supposed to like look for discount codes for you whenever you're shopping online, and like, you know, make sure that you get the best deal on whatever you're attempting to buy. And so there's just like 30-minute video where he reveals that the whole thing is an enormous scam on multiple levels to basically everyone involved.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Like,
Nobody's
there isn't a single
over.
person using this who doesn't work for Honey who is not being scammed.
Yeah.
Like, on the affiliate end, so the people like Nando who might be paid to market Honey. Have you ever been sponsored?
I don't think I ever have. No, I if it has been, it's been so long. But yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah. So apparently they like steal affiliate links. So like if you click on something from a video and you get the, you know, affiliate credit if they buy it, so the person who recommended to you gets some money. Honey will, like, the browser extension will come up and be like, hey, we got some deals for you. And even if they don't have any deals and they're just like, sorry, we didn't find anything, it overwrites that affiliate code so they get the money for it instead of the person who recommended it.
Fascinating.
Also, on the consumer end, it doesn't actually show you all the deals.
Yeah.
It only shows you the deals the businesses approve. So you can easily find better codes or like discounts or like better prices elsewhere. And Honey won't tell you them because the companies that use it are paying them to not tell you those things. They get to control what deals you see. And then that's the other thing on the company's side. It's basically a protection racket for them where they have to pay Honey for this because if they don't, Honey will show all the best deals and cost them money. So, like, everyone is being scammed.
It's really good. I think it's so funny. And they, yeah, I don't know where they are this week. Like, if people are uninstalling them or they're super fucked, but feels like a lot of people are talking about it online, and that's usually either everything or nothing. So we'll see if in a year anybody has them anymore, but it's really weird. But apparently other people have been talking about this for a while, but not like with evidence, just like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would this company, how are they making money? And you just assume they're selling all your data because that's how the rest of them do it. But they're probably also doing that, but they found another fun way to fuck everybody over. It's pretty fascinating. But that's what we live in, all scams and stuff. Everything's a scam, except for this. We're cool.
Well, we don't ask people for money, so like,
no, we do not.
If we are a scam, we're really bad at it.
I mean, that's how you become a scam. You don't ask people for money, and then you do, and they're like, well, these guys can't be scams, otherwise they wouldn't have asked people for money. Let's see. So I'll just write that down in my notes for later. I'll send myself a little text message in like 2 years. It's like, now start asking.
I was gonna say, for you guys, it's been like, what, 7 years? For me, it's been 5.
Oh, longer. Well, most of the nitpicking, I guess, is
I'm
2019.
Counting only
but
mostly nitpicking. If we include Mad Bracket Status, you guys have been doing this for like over a decade.
Around 10, yeah, something like that. So, yeah, well, you know, it's a long game. That's how you really... Everybody's really focused on short-term stuff, but Clay You know, you think about these online scams in terms of centuries instead of weeks. That's how the money really starts piling up. But yeah, so that video by Coffeezilla is cool, and the one by the other guy whose name I already forgot was cool. The other Megalag, right? Yeah. Let me put that on the list here. The other thing I wanted to recommend is I'm digging Creature Commandos. There's only 2 more episodes left. But then What If came back, 3rd and final season. I think it's great. I think there's 5 episodes out right now as of like the minute we're recording this. In an hour, there'll be another one. Out of those, one's boring. One's like a lot of potential, but they don't really deliver on it. One of them is really fun and simple. Another one is a really goofy, kind of fun little, I don't know, buddy comedy is whatever you call it. Then there's another one that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and I loved it. And it's the one that's about Howard the Duck. And if they take anything from this, just make that show or something, because he's such a cool character. Because he gambles like all the kids playing Counter-Strike, so they can relate to him. And yeah, I think this season of it is good. There's some people that hate that it's like weird stuff, but I think it's pretty fun, and it's about to get really plotty, and maybe that'll stink. So enjoy the first 5 while you can, and really enjoy 2, 3, and 4. You guys have anything to plug? DJ, do you have anything to plug for the fine people?
Yeah, just check out Roses and Rejections. What did we just do? We recorded everything out of order. I think we finished the ultimatum. I can't remember. We'll have a year in review podcast at some point, but we like front loaded all of the recordings and stuff. But just listen to it, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So yeah, Roses and Rejections, wherever you get your podcast. Oh, also Michelle did a socially distanced podcast of Hot Frosty.
Right? Yeah, we were talking about that.
The sexy snowman movie.
Sexy snowman movie with a lot of just like random B-listers in it. Like,
yeah,
I believe the amount of random stars that pop out on your screen.
Like Princess Elise, was known as Lacey Chabert.
Yeah.
The human woman who kisses Sonic.
Well, that's the funny thing. Wait, is that who's in this movie?
No, I don't think
so. The other one, right? No, this is Lacey Chabert. Yeah, she plays the main Hot Frosty girlfriend. I always get her confused with Vanessa Hudgens because they both came out around the same time.
Yeah, mid-2000s energy.
Which one of them was Eliza Thornberry? It's Lacey Chabert, right? She's the one that...
I believe Vanessa Hudgens was a Disney Channel star.
That's
that makes sense.
Lacey Chabert, she's a sneaky, like she's in a lot of stuff. She just pops up.
But Craig Robinson's in it, and guys, you'll never guess, he plays piano.
Yeah, he's a piano playing cop.
What?
Yeah.
Finally.
So get that where you get your podcasts.
Sounds good. Diggins, do you have anything to plug?
Nope. What about you, Nando? Anything to plug?
I got some videos probably one coming out soonish on the Nando V Movies channel, but then on Nando Cut we've been doing like videos about every couple episodes of What If. We do weekly Creature Commando recaps, which again mostly are because I really like that show, and maybe some more end of the year kind of wrap up-y stuff, because we are getting into that time when you start thinking about the future. But overall, you just follow me on those 2 platforms. You'll find all my stuff. Next week, what are we doing, you guys? We maybe going to do a year in review? Maybe
time to review that year.
Maybe.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
We'll see if a certain lawyer named Robert is available. We'll find out soon. He changed his name on the Discord, so I think I'm right, in fact. But until next week, I've been at Nando V Movies on Bluesky.
I'm at Zippy by Day on that same platform.
I'm at C Diggins on Bluesky.
Stay safe, everybody. Have fun. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.